The story of the human body begins not with noise or spectacle, but with quiet continuity. Beneath the steady rhythm of a heartbeat and the gentle rise and fall of each breath, there unfolds a complex harmony of systems, organs, and cells, each one devoted to keeping you alive. To study anatomy is to step into this stillness, to listen closely to what the body has been doing all along, without command or applause. In these moments of calm reflection, one begins to see the body not as a mechanical object but as a living landscape, shaped by time, sustained by balance, and carried forward through the effortless repetition of life's smallest motions. Even at rest, your body is a world in motion. Millions of cells are dividing, dying, and being replaced. Blood flows through vast networks of vessels, whispering through arteries and veins, reaching every tissue. Electrical impulses travel across neurons faster than thought, translating sensation into perception. Each system works with another, every process depending on the rest. It is a masterpiece of organization, an orchestra without a conductor, where each player somehow knows the rhythm and the tune. At its simplest level, the body begins with the cell, the smallest unit of life, the basic building block from which everything else arises. Each cell is a tiny, self-contained world, complete with its own form of energy, communication, and memory. Some exist alone, performing all the tasks of life within a single membrane. Others join together, forming tissues, then organs, then the entire body itself. A muscle cell contracts, a nerve cell transmits signals, a bone cell strengthens the skeleton, all performing unique roles, yet bound by shared purpose. If you could shrink down to the size of a molecule and wander inside one of these cells, you would find it humming quietly with activity. The nucleus at the center holds genetic instructions written in DNA, the code that guides growth, repair, and function. Around it, countless organelles drift through cytoplasmic fluid, mitochondria generating energy, ribosomes building proteins, and membranes folding like soft fabric to transport materials from one side to another. There is no rush here, no hurry, only patient rhythm. The cell works steadily, responding to the needs of the organism, adapting as it must, conserving energy when it can. From this microscopic scale arises the architecture of tissues, groups of cells, united in structure and function, form the living fabric of the body. There are four main types: epithelial, connective, muscle, and nervous tissue. Epithelial tissue lines the surfaces, forming skin and the delicate linings of internal organs. It is both barrier and gateway, controlling what enters and leaves. Connective tissue binds everything together, holding organs in place and forming bones, tendons, and cartilage. Muscle tissue brings movement, whether it be the slow contraction of the heart or the smooth motion of the digestive tract. Nervous tissue carries signals, allowing sensation, thought, and coordination. Each tissue alone is remarkable, but together they weave the tapestry of life. When tissues gather into organs, the scale of organization expands. The heart, for instance, is more than muscle. It also contains connective tissue, blood vessels, and specialized electrical fibers that regulate its rhythm. The lungs, the stomach, the liver, all are communities of tissues, performing intricate tasks in perfect cooperation. And yet, even these organs cannot exist independently. They form part of larger systems, networks of organs that work together toward a common goal. The cardiovascular system moves blood, the respiratory system exchanges gases, the digestive system transforms food into nourishment, and so on. To study these systems is to learn the language of balance. In the body, every action meets a counteraction, every process a gentle correction. This constant equilibrium is known as homeostasis, a state of dynamic stability that allows the body to function despite changes in the world around it. Your body temperature remains steady even as the air cools. Your blood sugar stabilizes after meals. Your heart adjusts its pace according to your needs. It is a quiet conversation between organs, hormones, and nerves, all speaking in the same unbroken rhythm of survival. The story of anatomy is therefore not a tale of separate parts, but one of unity. The brain cannot think without oxygen from the lungs. The lungs cannot breathe without movement from the muscles. The muscles cannot move without nutrients from the digestive system and the oxygen-rich blood carried by the heart. Every system, every cell, participates in this continuous exchange. Nothing exists in isolation. What affects one part ripples softly through the rest, much like a pebble dropped into a calm pond. Imagine lying still for a moment, feeling the quiet life beneath your skin, the pulse at your wrist, the faint warmth rising from within, the invisible rhythm of breath, all of it the product of countless unseen processes. The body requires no command to keep these going. The brainstem ensures the breath continues. The heart maintains its beat even while you sleep. The kidneys filter blood silently, second by second, day after day. To live is to be carried by this unending stream of activity, often unnoticed, but always present. From an evolutionary perspective, this intricate design was not built overnight. It is the result of millions of years of refinement, small adaptations, successful adjustments, lessons etched into the DNA of every living cell. The human body bears the marks of this long history, the vestiges of earlier forms, the remarkable efficiency of its systems, and the delicate balance between fragility and resilience. The curve of the spine, the structure of the hand, the complexity of the eye, each tells a story that stretches backward through time, to the first, multicellular organisms that learn to coordinate their parts and share a single purpose. In modern life, we tend to think of anatomy in clinical terms, a list of organs, functions, and systems to memorize. Yet beneath those details lies something softer, something deeply human. Anatomy is not only a study of structure but also of self-awareness. It teaches that within each heartbeat lies the continuity of life. Within each breath, a reminder of connection, and within each cell, a memory of all who came before. The more one understands the body, the more one recognizes that its harmony mirrors that of nature itself. Systems interlinked, energy flowing, balance maintained. Even the smallest movements have profound meaning. When you close your eyes and drift towards sleep, your muscles loosen, your breathing slows, and your heart gently adapts. The nervous system releases its hold, allowing the body to rest and repair. Cells begin their quiet work of renewal. Proteins are synthesized, memories consolidated, and energy restored. This nightly cycle is part of the same grand choreography that governs all of life, a rhythm of activity and rest, expansion and contraction, creation and dissolution. To observe the body, then, is to witness a living equilibrium. Within it, there is precision, but also grace. The bones form a framework, sturdy yet flexible. The muscles provide strength, tempered with softness. The skin, the body's largest organ, both protects and senses, creating a boundary that still allows the world to touch you. The organs within are not isolated compartments, but participants in a single, ongoing performance. The quiet art of staying alive. As we begin this exploration of human anatomy, it helps to remember that the body's story is best understood not as a collection of facts, but as a meditation on order. Each part, from the smallest cell to the most intricate system, contributes to a balanced whole. The body endures because it is built for cooperation, because every component listens and responds to the others in ways that defy simplicity. In the stillness of the evening, as you listen and drift, consider that your body is not separate from the world around it. The air you breathe becomes part of you. The water you drink flows into your blood. The food you eat turns into energy, into thought, into motion. The elements that form your bones once drifted in ancient stars. You are, in the most literal sense, made of the same matter that fills the universe. The study of anatomy is therefore not only the study of the human form, it is a quiet recognition that life itself is a continuous exchange, a balance between the self and the cosmos. As the mind settles and the breath evens out, the body continues its gentle symphony. The heart persists, the lungs expand, and each cell carries out its duties with patience. There is peace in this understanding, a soft reassurance that you are built for endurance, designed for renewal, and always connected to the greater rhythm of life. The human body, in all its complexity, remains one of the most serene expressions of nature's intelligence, a work of quiet perfection, unfolding endlessly, even as you drift toward sleep. 2. The architecture of life, cells and tissues. If one were to imagine the human body as a vast city, its smallest inhabitants would be the cells, countless, tireless, and deeply coordinated in their purpose. They are the invisible citizens of our anatomy, working quietly and continuously to sustain every breath, every thought, and every heartbeat. Within each cell, life begins anew, every moment. Though too small for the naked eye to see, these microscopic units together form the foundation of every structure and every function the body performs. The story of anatomy, therefore, begins not with the organs or systems that we can touch or observe, but with the soft architecture of life built from cells. Each cell is enclosed by a delicate membrane, a thin boundary that separates the inner world of the cell from its surrounding environment. This membrane is not a wall, but a gatekeeper, flexible, responsive, and intelligent. It allows nutrients to enter, waste to leave, and signals to pass through, all while maintaining the balance of water, salts, and molecules within. The membrane's surface is alive with receptors and proteins that act like communication antennas, allowing the cell to sense its surroundings and respond accordingly. Within this small space, order reigns. Everything inside the cell moves with purpose, guided by ancient instructions written in the strands of DNA that coil within its nucleus. Inside, the cytoplasm feels like a gentle sea, a gel-like fluid where countless organelles float, each one performing specialized tasks. The nucleus, like a quiet library, houses the genetic code, the master script that tells every cell what to be and how to behave. The mitochondria, often called the powerhouses, convert food into energy through the subtle chemistry of respiration. Ribosomes, tiny molecular factories, assemble proteins that form the material of life enzymes, hormones, and structural fibers. The endoplasmic reticulum folds and transports these proteins like a vast network of corridors, while the Golgi apparatus packages and directs them to their destinations. Lysosomes, meanwhile, act as caretakers, breaking down worn or damaged components so that their parts may be reused. Though each cell is self-contained, it is never alone. Like members of a quiet community, cells depend on one another. They communicate through chemical signals, sending messages that guide growth, healing, and adaptation. When tissue is injured, nearby cells sense distress and begin to divide, forming new layers to repair the damage. When the body needs more energy, cells increase their metabolic rate, releasing more fuel into circulation. Even the process of cell death, known as apoptosis, is an act of order and intentional clearing away of old or damaged cells so that new ones may thrive. Nothing in the body is wasted. Even decline serves life's continuity. Cells vary widely in shape and function. A nerve cell, with its long branching extensions, can transmit impulses across great distances, linking the brain to the fingertips. A red blood cell, small and disc-shaped, carries oxygen efficiently through narrow vessels. Muscle cells, elongated and strong, contract in rhythm to move limbs or pump blood. Epithelial cells form smooth layers that line organs and surfaces, providing protection while controlling the exchange of substances. Bone cells, or osteocytes, reside in the dense matrix of calcium and collagen that forms the skeleton, maintaining its strength and stability. Though they differ in appearance and role, all these cells share one unbroken lineage, tracing back through time to the first living organisms that learned how to reproduce, adapt, and persist. As cells join together, they form tissues, the body's first visible architecture. Each tissue type has its own texture, its own rhythm, its own quiet duty. Epithelial tissue, for example, forms the skin and the linings of the lungs, the intestines, and blood vessels. It is arranged in layers, sometimes a single sheet, sometimes many stacked upon one another, creating both protection and permeability. Through these layers, the body interacts with the world, absorbing oxygen, releasing carbon dioxide, and sensing touch, warmth, and pressure. Connective tissue, as its name suggests, binds everything together. It fills the spaces between organs, provides structure, and stores energy. Within its soft fibers lies a remarkable versatility. In one form, it becomes the tendons that anchor muscles to bone. In another, it forms the resilient cartilage that cushions joints. In the deeper layers, connective tissue transforms into bone, providing the framework that supports the entire body. Blood itself is a type of connective tissue liquid, yet structured, carrying oxygen, nutrients, and immune cells throughout the body's intricate pathways. Muscle tissue is a study in strength and fluidity. Made of elongated cells called fibers, it has the power to contract, generating force and movement. Skeletal muscles allow voluntary motion, the lifting of an arm, the turning of a head. Smooth muscles, found in the walls of the intestines, the bladder, and blood vessels, work involuntarily, moving in slow, rhythmic waves to guide food, fluids, and air. The heart's muscle, known as cardiac tissue, is unique, beating steadily from the first moments of life until the last, never tiring, never forgetting its rhythm. Then there is nervous tissue, the most delicate and mysterious of all. Composed of neurons and their supportive glial cells, it serves as the communication network that links every system together. Through electrical impulses and chemical messengers, it translates sensation into thought, thought into motion, and motion into memory. Within a single neuron, information travels along an axon that may stretch for over a meter in length, crossing the distance from the spinal cord to the toes. Each connection between neurons, called a synapse, is a moment of exchange, a brief spark of communication that sustains the mind's endless dialogue with the body. When viewed together, these tissues form a landscape of astonishing harmony. They build the organs that define us, the heart that beats, the lungs that breathe, the brain that dreams. Yet, for all their diversity, the secret of their cooperation lies in their shared ancestry. Every cell in the body originates from a single, fertilized egg, a zygote no larger than a grain of sand. Within that cell lies the entire blueprint of the human form. As it divides, its descendants begin to specialize, taking on distinct identities and roles. This process, known as differentiation, is guided by the activation and silencing of specific genes. Though each cell carries the full genetic code, only a portion of that code is used in any one cell, shaping it into skin, muscle, bone, or nerve. This specialization reveals a quiet wisdom built into life itself. The body does not waste energy on conflict between its parts. Each cell knows its purpose and fulfills it without question. Even the replacement of cells, old ones dying, new ones born, is an act of calm precision. The lining of the stomach renews itself every few days, the skin every few weeks, the bones every decade or so. In this constant turnover, the body remains both ancient and new, a continuous cycle of rebuilding and renewal. The architecture of life, therefore, is not static. It is dynamic, ever-shifting, and self-correcting. Like a great city that never sleeps, the body repairs its structures, even in the quiet hours of rest. Proteins are folded, membranes are restored, DNA is copied and proofread. All of this unfolds silently, without conscious effort, guided by natural laws that have operated since the dawn of life on Earth. As one contemplates this intricate design, it becomes clear that the beauty of anatomy lies not only in complexity, but in cooperation. Cells and tissues do not compete. They collaborate. They exchange materials, share energy, and respond to subtle chemical cues that maintain balance. This coordination is what allows the heart to beat, the lungs to expand, the muscles to contract, and the mind to think all at once, without chaos. Even in stillness, the body's architecture continues its work. The heart pumps gently, the lungs rise and fall, cells repair and renew. The quiet wisdom of the body never sleeps, never falters. To study this architecture is to learn the language of harmony, the balance between strength and fragility, between motion and rest, between individuality and unity. Every heartbeat, every breath, every cell is part of a vast symphony of structure and function, playing the ancient melody of life itself. And so, when you rest tonight and the mind begins to drift, know that deep within you, this architecture continues its patient work. It does not ask for attention. It does not demand praise. It simply endures, building, maintaining, and preserving the body that carries you through the world, a cathedral of living tissue, perfectly balanced, infinitely calm, and beautifully alive. 3. The nervous system, the body's quiet conductor. If the body were an orchestra, the nervous system would be its conductor, silent, unseen, but guiding every movement with perfect timing. It does not play a single note itself, yet without it, no note could ever be played. Every thought, every motion, every heartbeat begins as an electrical whisper traveling through this intricate network. The nervous system is the means by which the body senses, decides, and acts, a vast communication web that carries information faster than the blink of an eye. And though it is ceaseless in its labor, it remains one of the most delicate and quiet systems within us. At its core, the nervous system is divided into two main regions, the central and the peripheral. The central nervous system, or CNS, consists of the brain and spinal cord, the command center from which all interpretation and coordination arise. The peripheral nervous system, or PNS, extends from the spinal cord outward like gentle roots, branching into every organ, muscle, and patch of skin. Together, they form the body's electrical grid, a network so vast that it connects every part of you in constant, silent conversation. The brain, seated within the protection of the skull, is the central hub of this network. It weighs only about 3 pounds, yet it contains nearly 100 billion neurons, each one capable of forming thousands of connections with others. These neurons do not touch. Rather, they communicate through synapses, tiny gaps bridged by chemical messengers called neurotransmitters. Through this delicate exchange, memories form and sensations become conscious experience. The rhythm of the brain never ceases. Even in sleep, it hums softly, consolidating memories, regulating breathing, and maintaining the steady beat of the heart. Beneath the surface of the brain lies its intricate geography. The cerebrum, the largest part, is divided into left and right hemispheres, each responsible for different yet complementary functions. The left governs logic, language, and calculation, while the right is attuned to creativity, intuition, and spatial awareness. Together, they create the balance that defines human thought. The cerebellum, tucked beneath the cerebrum, coordinates movement, ensuring that each motion is smooth and precise. The brainstem, ancient and essential, oversees life's most fundamental processes: breathing, heart rate, and reflexes. Descending from the brainstem, the spinal cord serves as the main highway of information between the brain and the rest of the body. Protected by the vertebral column, it carries signals in two directions. Sensory nerves deliver messages upward from the skin, muscles, and organs to the brain, while motor nerves send commands downward, directing movement and response. Within this column of neural tissue, millions of signals travel simultaneously, adjusting posture, regulating temperature, and maintaining balance. Even simple reflexes, like pulling your hand away from heat, occur here without the brain's direct involvement. The spinal cord acts quickly, bypassing higher centers to protect you before you have time to think. The neurons that make up this system are unlike any other cells in the body. Long and slender, they are designed for communication. Each neuron has a cell body, or soma, which houses the nucleus, branching dendrites that receive incoming signals, and a single axon, a thin projection that carries impulses away. The axon may stretch for a few millimeters or for more than a meter, depending on its function. Many are wrapped in a sheath of myelin, a fatty substance that insulates the fiber and accelerates signal transmission. When an electrical impulse, known as an action potential, travels along the axon, it does so in waves, leaping from one node to the next with graceful precision. At the end of each axon lie terminal branches that release neurotransmitters into the synapse. These chemicals, such as dopamine, serotonin, and acetylcholine, cross the gap to receptors on the next neuron, continuing the signal. It is through these exchanges that emotions, memories, and decisions emerge. Each thought is a pattern of electrical and chemical activity, moving through billions of these synapses, a vast and ever-changing constellation of communication. The entire process occurs in thousandths of a second, so fast that consciousness can flow seamlessly from one moment to the next. Beyond the brain and spinal cord, the peripheral nervous system reaches out into the world. It consists of two main branches: the somatic and the autonomic systems. The somatic system governs voluntary movement and conscious sensation. It allows you to lift your hand, turn your head, or walk across a room, translating intention into motion. The autonomic system, by contrast, manages the body's involuntary processes: the heartbeat, digestion, respiration, and countless others that occur without deliberate control. Within the autonomic system are two complementary divisions: the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. The sympathetic division prepares the body for activity, heightening alertness, speeding the heart, and dilating the pupils. It is the body's quiet readiness, the ancient mechanism that once prepared early humans to face danger or flee from it. The parasympathetic division performs the opposite role, guiding the body back to calm. It slows the heart, encourages digestion, and restores energy. These two forces alternate constantly, creating the balance between action and rest that keeps the body steady and adaptable. Even as you drift towards sleep, the parasympathetic system is at work, lowering your blood pressure and deepening your breath, preparing you for rest and renewal. It is remarkable to consider how effortlessly this entire network operates. Every blink, every heartbeat, every word spoken begins as a signal in the nervous system. When you reach for a cup of water, a sequence of nerve impulses travels from the brain to the arm, coordinating dozens of muscles to produce a single smooth motion. At the same time, sensory neurons send feedback to the brain, confirming the position of your hand, the weight of the cup, and the coolness of its surface. This loop of communication occurs in a fraction of a second, yet it feels as natural as breathing. The nervous system makes such complexity feel effortless, transforming thought into action with perfect precision. Despite its sophistication, the nervous system remains vulnerable. Damage to even a small cluster of neurons can affect movement, sensation, or memory. Neural pathways can adapt, forming new connections to compensate for loss. This ability, called neuroplasticity, allows the brain to learn, heal, and rewire itself throughout life. It is how new skills are acquired, how habits form, and how recovery is possible after injury. Each repetition of movement, each experience, each thought strengthens particular pathways, carving patterns that gradually become second nature. The communication between the nervous system and other bodily systems is constant and subtle. The endocrine system, through its hormones, collaborates closely with neural signals to regulate mood, energy, and growth. The cardiovascular system responds to commands from the brain, adjusting heart rate and vessel diameter. Even the immune system receives cues from neural pathways, responding to stress or calm in measurable ways. The body is not a collection of separate mechanisms, but an integrated whole, each system responding to the quiet instructions of its conductor. When the nervous system functions in harmony, the body moves like a single living instrument. Thought flows into motion, sensation returns as feedback, and the entire organism maintains its delicate equilibrium. Even in silence, this network remains alive, with invisible motion, a flicker of electricity here, a burst of neurotransmitters there, millions of impulses crossing their paths at every instant. It is both precise and poetic, a living current that defines what it means to be alive. As you lie still, perhaps feeling the gentle rhythm of your heartbeat or the breath moving through your chest, know that every sensation is part of this intricate communication. Your awareness itself, the quiet knowing of being, is born from the activity of the nervous system. Neurons fire softly in the dark, assembling thoughts, translating sensations, recording memories. And yet, for all its complexity, the system's goal is simple: to maintain balance, to keep the body safe, to preserve the continuity of life. Even in the depths of sleep, when consciousness fades, the nervous system continues its careful watch. It regulates breathing, adjusts posture, and responds to the faintest changes in the environment. It never stops conducting the body's music, never ceases its role as guardian and guide. In this way, it embodies both strength and serenity, a perfect harmony of precision and peace, an ever-present intelligence that carries you through each moment, quietly shaping the rhythm of life. 4. The endocrine system, the hidden messengers. Deep within the body lies a second great communication network, one that does not speak through the flash of electricity, but through the slow, steady flow of chemistry. This is the endocrine system, the body's network of glands and hormones, quietly coordinating growth, energy, mood, and reproduction. Where the nervous system is swift and precise, the endocrine system is deliberate and enduring. It shapes the long rhythm of life: childhood, adolescence, maturity, and aging. Its messages travel through the bloodstream rather than through nerves, carried patiently from one organ to another, ensuring that every cell acts in harmony with the rest. At first glance, the idea that a few microscopic drops of hormones can influence the vast machinery of the body seems improbable. Yet this is exactly what happens every moment of your life. Hormones are chemical messengers, secreted directly into the bloodstream by glands that have no ducts or channels. Once released, these substances drift through the circulatory system until they reach their target cells. Cells equipped with special receptors that recognize and respond to them. Even a tiny amount of hormone can trigger a sweeping change: the release of stored energy, the regulation of blood pressure, the deep calm of sleep, or the quick alertness of morning. These changes unfold not in seconds, but in minutes, hours, or even days, creating the slow tides that shape the body's internal world. The command center for this system lies deep within the brain, in a small but powerful structure known as the hypothalamus. It serves as the bridge between the nervous and endocrine systems, translating neural signals into hormonal instructions. Just below it rests the pituitary gland, often called the master gland. Though only the size of a pea, it exerts influence over nearly every other endocrine organ. Through a complex network of feedback loops, the hypothalamus and pituitary monitor the body's condition, its temperature, hydration, nutrient levels, and energy supply, and respond with precise hormonal adjustments. From this central hub, the hormonal signals spread outward. The thyroid gland, located in the neck, secretes hormones that control metabolism, the rate at which the body burns fuel and generates heat. Thyroid hormones rise, the metabolism quickens. When they fall, it slows. This balance affects everything from heart rate to body temperature to the pace of thought itself. Behind the thyroid lie the parathyroid glands, 4 small nodules that regulate calcium levels in the blood. Calcium, essential for muscle contraction and nerve transmission, must be kept within narrow limits. Too much or too little can disrupt the body's rhythm, and so these glands work tirelessly to keep it steady. Higher in the body, perched like small caps on top of the kidneys, rest the adrenal glands. Each adrenal gland has 2 layers with distinct functions. The outer cortex produces steroid hormones that govern metabolism, salt balance, and the body's long-term stress response. The inner medulla releases adrenaline and noradrenaline, hormones that prepare the body for immediate action, raising the heart rate, sharpening focus, and redirecting blood flow toward muscles. This dual design ensures that the body can meet both sudden challenges and prolonged demands, balancing swift reaction with steady endurance. The pancreas, lying quietly behind the stomach, serves as both an endocrine and an exocrine organ. Its endocrine role centers on the regulation of blood glucose, the primary source of energy for cells. Within the pancreas, clusters of cells known as the islets of Langerhans release 2 opposing hormones, insulin and glucagon. Insulin lowers blood glucose by promoting its uptake into cells, while glucagon raises it by signaling the liver to release stored sugar. Together, they maintain the delicate equilibrium of energy supply. The partnership between these hormones is a perfect example of the body's reliance on balance, each countering and supporting the other to keep conditions stable. The reproductive glands, or gonads, are another essential part of this quiet network. In females, the ovaries produce estrogen and progesterone, hormones that guide the menstrual cycle, influence bone strength, and shape the physical and emotional rhythms of life. In males, the testes produce testosterone, driving the development of muscle, bone, and reproductive function. These hormones also contribute to mood and energy levels, affecting far more than reproduction alone. As life progresses, their levels change gradually, marking transitions such as puberty and aging, and signaling shifts in the body's overall rhythm. Other organs, though not traditionally thought of as endocrine, also play their part. The heart releases hormones that regulate blood pressure. The kidneys produce erythropoietin, which stimulates red blood cell production. The stomach and intestines secrete hormones that control hunger, digestion, and satiety. Even the fat tissue beneath the skin produces signaling molecules that influence metabolism and inflammation. The endocrine system, then, is not a single pathway but a vast network woven through the body's every corner, each signal influencing and responding to countless others. What makes this system so elegant is its reliance on feedback. Most hormones operate through negative feedback loops, a form of self-regulation that prevents excess. When a hormone's level rises, it signals the gland that produced it to slow down. When it falls, production increases again. This quiet conversation keeps the body within its optimal range, adapting to changes without waste or chaos. The balance is constant, but the effort is invisible. The body neither rushes nor rests, it simply adjusts. The endocrine system also interacts seamlessly with the nervous system, forming a partnership often called the neuroendocrine axis. When you encounter stress, for instance, the brain immediately activates the sympathetic nervous system, releasing adrenaline from the adrenal glands to sharpen response. Simultaneously, it initiates a slower cascade, the release of cortisol, a hormone that helps the body maintain alertness and energy during prolonged stress. Once the challenge has passed, feedback mechanisms quiet the system, restoring calm. It is this dynamic interplay that allows humans to adapt not just to the moment, but to the patterns of daily life, emotion, and experience. Hormones also influence mood and thought in ways both subtle and profound. The surge of endorphins after exercise brings warmth and calm. Melatonin, secreted by the pineal gland as night falls, invites sleep by signaling the body that it is time to rest. Serotonin and dopamine, though often associated with the nervous system, are shaped by hormonal balance as well, regulating happiness, motivation, and emotional steadiness. Each fluctuation, each quiet chemical pulse, alters the tone of the inner world, connecting body and mind in a conversation older than memory. Over time, the endocrine system shapes the story of a lifetime. During childhood, growth hormone from the pituitary and thyroid hormones from the neck work together to lengthen bones and increase muscle mass. In adolescence, sex hormones awaken, transforming the body and mind in preparation for adulthood. In adulthood, hormonal cycles maintain energy, fertility, and stability. Later in life, their gradual decline brings new phases of calm and adaptation. Each transition is natural, each one a gentle shift in the body's ongoing rhythm of change. When all works as it should, the endocrine system is nearly silent. You do not feel your thyroid releasing its hormones, or your pancreas balancing your blood sugar, or your adrenal glands responding to morning light. Yet these hidden messengers guide your every moment, ensuring that heartbeats remain steady, energy is distributed wisely, and the mind remains clear. The serenity of the body depends upon this invisible harmony, a slow dance of molecules, a chemistry of balance that continues without pause. As you rest and breathe, the endocrine system remains active, watching, measuring, and adjusting. When you drift into sleep, melatonin deepens your rest. When you wake, cortisol gently rises to greet the day. This quiet cycle repeats endlessly, the internal tides of life moving in perfect rhythm with the world outside. In every heartbeat, in every breath, in every subtle shift of mood or warmth, the hidden messengers of the endocrine system whisper their calm instructions, steadying, guiding, and sustaining the miracle of being alive. 5. The cardiovascular system, the river within. Beneath the surface of your skin, hidden from sight but ever present, flows a vast and intricate network of rivers. These rivers are not made of water, yet they share the same purpose: to move, to nourish, to connect. This is the cardiovascular system, the body's endless circulation of life. Every second, without pause or fatigue, it carries oxygen, nutrients, hormones, and warmth to each of the trillions of cells that depend upon it. It gathers waste, returns it for processing, and begins again, a continuous loop of giving and receiving that sustains every living moment. At the heart of this system lies the organ that gives the system its name, the heart itself, a muscular pump no larger than a clenched fist, steady and resolute in its duty. It beats rhythmically, about 70 times each minute, more than 100,000 times a day. Through this steady rhythm, it propels roughly 5 liters of blood, through a closed circuit of vessels that would, if laid end to end, extend over 60,000 miles. It is a marvel of design, simple in appearance, complex in function, and tireless in endurance. The heart is divided into 4 chambers, arranged with careful symmetry. The 2 upper chambers, the atria, receive incoming blood, one from the body, the other from the lungs. The 2 lower chambers, the ventricles, send it out again, one to the lungs for oxygenation, the other to the rest of the body. Valves positioned between these chambers open and close with each beat, guiding blood in one direction only and preventing backflow. Their movement is soft but precise, producing the gentle lub-dub rhythm we recognize as the sound of life. The right side of the heart handles deoxygenated blood that has delivered its nutrients and oxygen to tissues and now carries carbon dioxide and waste products. This blood returns to the heart through 2 great veins, the superior and inferior vena cava, entering the right atrium. From there, it passes into the right ventricle, which contracts, sending the blood to the lungs through the pulmonary arteries. Within the lungs, the blood's carbon dioxide is exchanged for oxygen in the delicate capillaries surrounding each alveolus, and the once dark blood becomes bright again. The newly oxygenated blood then returns to the heart through the pulmonary veins, entering the left atrium. From there it moves into the left ventricle, the strongest of the 4 chambers, whose powerful walls generate enough force to send blood coursing through the aorta and into every artery that branches outward from it. This marks the beginning of the systemic circuit, the long journey through the body. In this way, each heartbeat represents both an end and a beginning, a complete cycle of renewal that repeats ceaselessly from the first moments of life until the very last. Flowing through this circuit is blood, a living tissue, both fluid and dynamic. It is composed of plasma, red cells, white cells, and platelets, each with its own quiet purpose. Plasma, a pale golden liquid, makes up more than half the volume and serves as the carrier for everything else. Within it drift proteins, nutrients, electrolytes, and hormones, all in constant motion. Red blood cells, or erythrocytes, give blood its color and carry oxygen using a protein called hemoglobin. Each red cell, shaped like a soft, flattened disc, contains millions of hemoglobin molecules, each capable of binding to oxygen in the lungs and releasing it in the tissues. A single drop of blood contains around 5 million red cells, each living about 4 months before being replaced by new ones from the bone marrow. White blood cells, or leukocytes, are fewer in number but vital in defense. They patrol the bloodstream like quiet sentinels, identifying and neutralizing pathogens, clearing debris, and coordinating immune responses. There are many types, from lymphocytes that create antibodies to neutrophils that consume invading microbes. Their presence ensures that the blood not only nourishes but also protects. Platelets, the smallest components, are fragments of cells responsible for clotting. When a vessel is damaged, they rush to the site, forming a temporary seal and releasing chemicals that prompt the formation of a stable clot. In this way, the bloodstream repairs itself, preserving continuity and preventing loss. The vessels through which this blood travels are as vital as the heart itself. Arteries carry blood away from the heart, branching into smaller arterioles and then into the microscopic capillaries that reach every cell. The walls of arteries are thick and elastic, designed to withstand the high pressure generated by each heartbeat. As the blood moves farther from the heart, the vessels narrow and slow, allowing the exchange of gases, nutrients, and waste through the thin walls of the capillaries. Oxygen leaves the blood, carbon dioxide enters, and the cycle continues quietly, moment by moment. From the capillaries, the blood begins its return journey through small venules that merge into larger veins. The veins, unlike arteries, operate under lower pressure. They rely on valves and the rhythmic contraction of surrounding muscles to keep blood moving back toward the heart. As you walk, breathe, or even shift in sleep, These muscles press gently on the veins, helping to propel the blood upward, working together with the heart's rhythm to complete the circuit. At every level, the cardiovascular system demonstrates balance and adaptation. When you rest, your heart slows, conserving energy while still providing enough circulation to nourish tissues. When you move, it quickens, meeting the increased demand for oxygen and nutrients. The vessels expand or contract in response to temperature, pressure, and need. This flexibility ensures that blood reaches where it is required most, whether to warm the skin on a cold day or to cool the body in heat. Beyond its mechanical function, the cardiovascular system also serves as the body's messenger. Through the blood, hormones released by the endocrine system travel to distant organs, signaling change and maintaining coordination. Nutrients from digestion are delivered to cells, while waste products are carried away to be processed by the kidneys or liver. The blood even participates in immune defense, transporting white cells and antibodies to sites of infection. Every moment, it carries with it the body's history, what you have eaten, what you have breathed, what your body has created or discarded. It is, in many ways, the story of your inner world, written in fluid motion. Yet for all its complexity, the system remains remarkably quiet. You rarely feel the flow of blood through your veins or the pulse of your heart unless you pause to notice it. Beneath that quiet surface lies a choreography so precise it borders on perfection. The timing between atria and ventricles, the subtle coordination of valves, the elasticity of arteries, all function together without conscious thought. Even as you sleep, this hidden river continues its work, flowing endlessly through the channels of your body, renewing life with every beat. When we speak of vitality, of warmth, or of the pulse of life itself, we are speaking of this system in motion. The cardiovascular system is more than a network of organs. It is the embodiment of movement, rhythm, and renewal. It links every part of the body into a single whole, ensuring that no cell is ever isolated or forgotten. Each heartbeat is both a promise and a continuation, a soft echo of the first pulse that began before birth and will continue, faithfully, for as long as life endures. And so, as you rest and listen to the quiet within you, imagine this gentle river flowing steadily beneath your skin. It winds through unseen valleys and branches into delicate streams, touching every corner of your being. It carries not only oxygen and nutrients, but also warmth, balance, and calm. In its endless circulation lies the perfect example of life's persistence, the steady, unbroken rhythm of the heart, the soft, soundless rush of blood, the river within that never ceases to flow. 6. The respiratory system, the breath of life. The act of breathing is so constant, so familiar, that it often escapes our awareness. It continues quietly through every moment of waking and sleeping, sustaining life in a rhythm as old as existence itself. The respiratory system, devoted entirely to this gentle exchange, is both simple and profound. With each inhalation, it draws in the invisible essence that the body depends upon oxygen. With each exhalation, it releases what is no longer needed, carbon dioxide. Between these two acts lies the balance that sustains every cell, every organ, and every heartbeat. To breathe is to participate in a universal cycle, one shared by all living things. The same air that enters your lungs has moved through forests, across oceans, and through the breath of countless creatures before you. It connects all life, linking the smallest insect to the tallest tree. The respiratory system is the gateway to this shared atmosphere, a system designed not just to capture air but to transform it into energy through the cooperation of the lungs, blood, and every cell that depends upon them. The process begins with the simplest of actions, the drawing in of air through the nose or mouth. The nose, however, is nature's preferred entrance. Its passages are lined with fine hairs and mucous membranes that filter dust, pollen, and microscopic particles. As air moves through, it is warmed and moistened, prepared to enter the delicate tissues deeper within. Behind the nasal cavity, the air passes through the pharynx, a shared corridor that also serves the digestive system. From there, it travels into the larynx, where the vocal cords rest. Every spoken word, every sigh, every quiet hum arises as air passes through these folds, vibrating gently before continuing its descent into the trachea. The trachea, or windpipe, is the main airway to the lungs. Its walls are reinforced with rings of cartilage that keep it open, ensuring that air flows freely, even as the body moves or bends. At its lower end, the trachea divides into two bronchi, each leading to one lung. These bronchi branch again and again into smaller and smaller tubes called bronchioles, forming a tree-like pattern that fills the lungs with countless pathways. At the very tips of these branches lie the alveoli, tiny, thin-walled sacs, where the true magic of respiration occurs. Within each alveolus, oxygen from the air passes into the surrounding capillaries, microscopic blood vessels that form a delicate network around every air sac. The walls of both the alveoli and the capillaries are just a single cell, thick, allowing gases to move easily between them. Oxygen diffuses into the blood, binding to the hemoglobin within red blood cells. At the same time, carbon dioxide, a byproduct of cellular metabolism, leaves the blood and enters the alveoli, to be expelled with the next exhalation. This exchange, so subtle and silent, occurs in every breath you take, thousands of times each day, maintaining the balance between what enters and what leaves. The lungs themselves are not identical twins, but rather partners, each shaped by the space it occupies. The right lung is broader and divided into 3 lobes, while the left, smaller to make room for the heart, has 2. Both are enclosed in pleural membranes that form a protective, frictionless layer, allowing them to expand and contract smoothly within the chest cavity. Between the lungs, the heart beats steadily, surrounded by the same air that nourishes it. The act of breathing is guided by muscles, the most important of which is the diaphragm, a broad, dome-shaped sheet of muscle that forms the floor of the thoracic cavity. When you inhale, the diaphragm contracts and moves downward, creating more space in the chest and lowering internal pressure. This causes air to flow inward, filling the lungs. When you exhale, the diaphragm relaxes and rises, gently pushing air back out. The intercostal muscles, positioned between the ribs, assist in this movement by expanding and compressing the chest cavity. Together, they form the mechanical rhythm of respiration, a dance of motion and release that never ceases. Though breathing is automatic, it can also be consciously controlled. You can hold your breath, slow it, or deepen it at will, a rare privilege among bodily functions. This dual nature of control reflects the cooperation between the brain's higher centers and its automatic regulators, the medulla oblongata and pons, located in the brainstem, constantly monitor levels of carbon dioxide and oxygen in the blood. When carbon dioxide rises, the brain signals the respiratory muscles to increase their pace, drawing in fresh air. When levels fall, the rhythm slows again. This adjustment is continuous and precise, ensuring that the body remains in perfect equilibrium without requiring thought. Each breath you take is therefore both voluntary and involuntary, a bridge between the conscious and the unconscious, between the mind and the body. When you are anxious or tense, breathing quickens. When calm returns, it slows. This intimate link between respiration and emotion has been recognized for millennia. Ancient practices of meditation and breath control, from yoga to Tai Chi, rely on this connection. To breathe deeply is to signal the body that all is well, to invite the parasympathetic nervous system to restore calm. The act itself becomes both physical and spiritual, a reminder that peace begins in the lungs. The air that enters the lungs carries not just oxygen, but a record of the world around you. With each inhalation, molecules from forests, oceans, and distant places mingle within your body. The carbon dioxide you exhale will, in turn, nourish plants, which will release oxygen back into the air. The cycle is ancient, continuous, and shared. Every breath ties you to the Earth's atmosphere, to every living thing that has ever drawn air into its lungs or leaves. The respiratory system also plays other quiet roles. It helps regulate body temperature and the balance of acids and bases in the blood. When you breathe faster, more carbon dioxide is expelled, reducing acidity. When you breathe more slowly, carbon dioxide builds and acidity rises. This constant balancing act is essential for life. The lungs also serve as filters, capturing small clots or debris before they can travel farther. Their tissues act as reservoirs of blood, adjusting the flow to maintain proper circulation. Within this network, even the smallest components perform with grace. The cilia, microscopic hair-like structures lining the airways, move rhythmically, sweeping dust and impurities upward toward the throat, where they can be swallowed or expelled. This cleansing motion, continuous and tireless, keeps the lungs clear, ensuring that each breath enters fresh and pure. The mucus they move serves as a soft shield, trapping what does not belong. It is a quiet defense, operating without notice, maintaining the purity of the air's passage. When all these parts work together, the result is effortless. The chest rises and falls. The lungs expand and release. The air enters, gives its gift, and departs. Even in stillness, the body participates in this cycle, the breath continuing its gentle rhythm through sleep and silence. It is the foundation upon which all other systems depend. Without it, the heart cannot beat, the brain cannot think, the muscles cannot move. To understand the respiratory system is to recognize how life sustains itself with simplicity. There is no struggle, no force, only movement and exchange. Inhalation and exhalation mirror the ebb and flow of the tides, the giving and receiving that defines all living processes. It is a rhythm so natural that it can easily be forgotten, yet to return awareness to it is to return to life itself. As you sit or lie quietly, notice the air moving in and out. Each breath enters cool and leaves warm, carrying the traces of your inner world back into the outer one. There is a softness to this process, a quiet assurance that the body knows exactly what to do. Within the gentle motion of the lungs lies the perfect example of balance, effort, and ease, action and release, taking and giving. The breath is not merely a function, but a reminder of connection to your body, to the world, and to every living thing that breathes beside you. In the calm of night, when the world grows still, this rhythm continues. The lungs draw air, the heart receives it, the blood carries it outward like a slow tide. With each breath, the body renews itself, cell by cell, moment by moment. The respiratory system, quiet and constant, is the thread that binds all life together, the breath of existence itself, flowing endlessly through the gentle architecture of the human form. 7. The digestive system, the journey of nourishment. From the first taste of food to the quiet moment when nutrients reach the cells, the digestive system tells a story of transformation. It is a slow, rhythmic journey in which everything the body needs is drawn from the world around it, refined, absorbed, and shared with every organ and tissue. Though it begins with something as familiar as a meal, the process that follows is intricate and unending, a gentle chain of events that nourishes life itself. Digestion begins not in the stomach, as one might imagine, but in the mind. The sight, scent, or even thought of food awakens a cascade of signals within the brain. Salivary glands stir to life, stomach acids begin to form, and the entire digestive tract prepares for its quiet work. This anticipatory response is the body's way of honoring balance. It never waits idly but acts in harmony with the senses, ready to receive what will soon sustain it. When food enters the mouth, the process becomes tangible. Teeth, each shaped for a specific task, break food down into smaller pieces, increasing the surface area for digestion. The incisors cut, the canines tear, and the molars grind, while the tongue moves everything into position with fluid grace. At the same time, saliva moistens the food, softening it, and beginning the chemical process of digestion through enzymes like amylase, which begins to convert complex carbohydrates into simple sugars. What results is a small, manageable mass called a bolus, ready to move deeper into the body's interior world. Swallowing is a motion so natural it rarely draws attention, yet it represents a beautifully coordinated act of reflex. As the tongue pushes the bolus to the back of the throat, the soft palate rises to close off the nasal passage, and the epiglottis folds downward to cover the trachea. For an instant, the body ensures that food and air travel their separate paths. The bolus then passes into the esophagus, where waves of muscular contraction known as peristalsis carry it downward toward the stomach. Even if the body is inverted, these rhythmic waves continue, quietly independent of gravity. When the bolus reaches the stomach, it enters a chamber both powerful and patient. The stomach is a hollow muscular organ designed for mixing and breaking down food through a combination of motion and chemistry. Its inner lining secretes gastric juices, hydrochloric acid, and digestive enzymes such as pepsin, which begin to dismantle proteins into smaller fragments. The muscles of the stomach wall churn gently, blending the food into a semi-liquid form called chyme. This process may last several hours, during which the stomach also releases small amounts of chyme into the small intestine at carefully timed intervals, ensuring that digestion unfolds at a pace the body can manage. Within this controlled environment, another subtle process occurs. A thick layer of mucus lines the stomach's interior, protecting it from its own acidic strength. Without this shield, the stomach would begin to digest itself. Even here, balance prevails. Acidity and protection, breakdown and preservation, all existing side by side in perfect proportion. Once chyme leaves the stomach, it passes through the pyloric sphincter into the small intestine, a narrow, winding tube about 6 meters long. Here, digestion enters its most delicate and important phase. The small intestine is divided into 3 sections: the duodenum, jejunum, and ileum, each with a role in absorbing and processing nutrients. The duodenum receives not only chyme from the stomach but also secretions from the liver and pancreas, both of which contribute essential chemicals that refine digestion further. The liver produces bile, a greenish fluid stored in the gallbladder until needed. Bile emulsifies fats, breaking them into tiny droplets that enzymes can more easily access. The pancreas adds its own secretions, enzymes that digest carbohydrates, proteins, and fats, as well as bicarbonate to neutralize stomach acid. Together, these fluids transform the chyme into a form that can release its nutrients to the waiting cells of the intestinal wall. The surface of the small intestine is a landscape of astonishing design. Its inner walls are lined with folds, villi, and microscopic projections called microvilli, all of which dramatically increase the surface area for absorption. Through these fine structures, nutrients pass into the bloodstream: amino acids from proteins, simple sugars from carbohydrates, fatty acids, and glycerol from fats, vitamins, and minerals. Every molecule absorbed becomes part of the body's living architecture, fueling movement, growth, and repair. What began as a meal becomes thought, warmth, and breath. The blood that collects these nutrients flows directly to the liver through the portal vein. The liver, vast and patient, serves as the body's great regulator. It stores some nutrients, releases others as needed, and detoxifies substances that might cause harm. It is the body's silent guardian, shaping the quality and balance of what enters the bloodstream. Through its constant vigilance, the liver ensures that nourishment becomes not excess, but equilibrium. What remains after this long process continues its journey into the large intestine, or colon. Here, most digestion has already been completed. The colon's role is to reclaim water and electrolytes from the remaining material, compacting it into a form suitable for elimination. The bacteria that live within the colon, trillions of them, play their own quiet part, breaking down undigested fibers and producing vitamins such as vitamin K and certain B-complex vitamins. These microorganisms, though invisible, form a vital partnership with the body, maintaining digestive health and even influencing immunity and mood. Slowly, as water is absorbed, the residue becomes solid and moves toward the rectum. When the time comes, the body releases it through the anus, completing a process that began perhaps a day earlier. Even in this final act, there is balance and grace. What is not needed is released, and the cycle is ready to begin anew. Throughout this entire journey, the digestive system works in harmony with every other system of the body. The nervous system monitors its activity, coordinating the timing of secretions and muscle movements. The endocrine system influences appetite, metabolism, and energy storage through hormones like insulin and ghrelin. The cardiovascular system carries the absorbed nutrients to their destinations. Even the respiratory system plays its part, as oxygen from the lungs fuels the metabolic reactions that turn food into usable energy. This interconnectedness reminds us that digestion is not merely mechanical but deeply holistic. It is the process by which the outside world becomes part of the inner one, by which the physical becomes the vital. The warmth in your muscles, the clarity in your thoughts, the steady rhythm of your heart, all trace their origin to the quiet work of digestion. When seen in this light, eating itself becomes a meditation on life's continuity. Each meal carries within it the labor of the earth, the energy of the sun, and the care of countless living things. To chew slowly, to savor, is to acknowledge this lineage of nourishment. The body, in turn, responds with calm efficiency, receiving what it needs and letting go of what it does not. Even as you rest, this system continues its slow work. The stomach churns gently, the intestines move in waves, and cells draw sustenance from the blood. There is no urgency, no strain, only rhythm. The digestive system is patient, deliberate, and endlessly devoted to sustaining balance. In the quiet of night, as you drift toward sleep, this unseen process continues. It transforms what was once outside of you into the energy that will keep you warm, the strength that will move your limbs, and the clarity that will guide your thoughts. It is a humble system, yet in its simplicity lies the profound truth of life, that nourishment is both an act of taking and of giving, an exchange between the body and the world. The digestive system, with all its silent precision, reminds us that every moment of life is sustained by transformation, a continuous journey of renewal that begins anew with every breath, every heartbeat, and every bite. 8. The urinary system, the body's cleansing stream. Within the body, balance is maintained not only by what is taken in, but also by what is released. The urinary system, often called the excretory system, performs this essential act of cleansing. Quietly, constantly, it filters the blood, removes waste, and regulates the volume and composition of bodily fluids. It is a system of gentle purification, one that works without sound or effort, preserving equilibrium with every drop that passes through it. Though its work is rarely noticed, it is among the most vital guardians of internal harmony, ensuring that the body remains clear, stable, and renewed. Every moment, Blood flows through this system in silent procession. Nearly 1/4 of the blood pumped by the heart with each beat is directed toward the kidneys, two small organs located near the middle of the back, just below the ribs. They are shaped like beans, smooth and firm, each about the size of a fist. Despite their modest size, their role is profound. The kidneys are both filters and regulators, removing what is unnecessary, conserving what is precious, and keeping the chemical composition of the body's fluids in exquisite balance. Inside each kidney lies a landscape of delicate precision. The outer layer, known as the renal cortex, is dense with capillaries and filtering structures. Beneath it lies the renal medulla, a region of pale pyramids whose tapered ends point toward a central cavity called the renal pelvis. From this cavity, waste fluids flow outward through narrow tubes that will eventually reach the bladder. Yet the journey that produces these fluids, the creation of urine, is a marvel of natural engineering. Each kidney contains about 1 million microscopic units called nephrons. Every nephron functions as a self-contained purification station. It begins with a small, round structure called the glomerulus, a network of capillaries enclosed by a cup-shaped capsule known as Bowman's capsule. As blood passes through this filter, water and small molecules are forced out of the capillaries by pressure, forming a fluid that enters the nephron's long, winding tubule. Larger components, such as proteins and blood cells, remain in the bloodstream, while smaller substances, salts, glucose, urea, and water begin their passage through the nephron. But the kidneys are not careless filters. They are discerning guardians. As the filtrate moves along the tubule, the nephron reclaims much of what the body still needs. In the proximal convoluted tubule, essential nutrients like glucose and amino acids are reabsorbed into the blood. Farther along, the loop of Henle dips deep into the medulla, creating a concentration gradient that allows water and salts to be rebalanced with astonishing precision. The distal convoluted tubule and collecting duct fine-tune the final composition of urine, adjusting levels of potassium, hydrogen, and bicarbonate to maintain the body's acid-base balance. What remains after this careful refinement is urine, a concentrated solution containing waste products such as urea, uric acid, and excess salts. The entire process is regulated by an intricate dialogue between the kidneys and the endocrine system. Hormones like aldosterone, released by the adrenal glands, signal the kidneys to retain sodium and water when blood pressure drops. Antidiuretic hormone, secreted by the pituitary gland, increases water reabsorption, ensuring that dehydration does not occur. Parathyroid hormone influences calcium levels, while erythropoietin, produced by the kidneys themselves, stimulates the bone marrow to create red blood cells when oxygen levels fall. In this way, the kidneys are not passive organs but active participants in the body's constant adaptation to change. Once formed, urine travels through narrow muscular tubes called ureters, which extend from each kidney to the urinary bladder. These tubes do not simply let gravity do the work. They move urine in rhythmic waves known as peristalsis, ensuring a steady flow regardless of body position. The bladder, a hollow muscular reservoir, sits quietly in the pelvic cavity, expanding and contracting as needed. Its walls are composed of layers of smooth muscle interwoven with elastic fibers, allowing it to stretch and hold up to half a liter of urine comfortably. As it fills, stretch receptors within the bladder wall send gentle signals to the brain, creating the awareness of fullness, a polite reminder from the body that it is time to release. When the moment arrives, another act of balance begins. The brain coordinates the relaxation of the internal sphincter, a ring of smooth muscle that guards the exit of the bladder, while the external sphincter, under voluntary control, allows one to choose the appropriate time for release. As the bladder contracts, urine flows through the urethra and leaves the body, completing the cleansing cycle. In this simple act, the body restores equilibrium once again, removing what is no longer needed, so that what remains may thrive. The significance of this system extends far beyond elimination. Through its constant regulation of water and electrolytes, the urinary system determines the body's blood pressure, hydration level, and chemical stability. If too much water is lost, the kidneys conserve it, producing small amounts of concentrated urine. If water is abundant, they release the excess, creating a lighter, more diluted flow. Similarly, they regulate salts like sodium, potassium, and chloride, maintaining the delicate electrical balance required for nerve function and muscle contraction. They also adjust the body's pH, preventing it from becoming too acidic or too alkaline. Every drop of urine that leaves the body represents a finely tuned decision made by the kidneys in response to the body's needs. In this way, the urinary system mirrors the wisdom of nature itself. Nothing wasted, nothing excessive, everything in balance. It embodies the principle that purity is not achieved by absence, but by constant renewal. The blood that enters the kidneys carries traces of every action, every heartbeat, every breath, every thought, and emerges cleansed, ready to nourish again. The kidney's quiet vigilance keeps this circulation pure, allowing the body to function without interruption. This process, though mechanical in its precision, has a kind of poetry to it. The blood flows in, clouded with the evidence of life's activity, and flows out, clear and renewed. It is a small reminder of the broader cycles that shape existence. The cleansing of rain through the sky, the filtering of rivers through sand and stone, the renewal of air through the breath. The urinary system reflects these same natural rhythms within the human form, maintaining harmony through constant movement and release. Even as the body rests, the kidneys continue their watchful labor. They never sleep, never pause. Each minute, they filter about 100 milliliters of blood. In a single day, nearly 200 liters pass through their microscopic filters. Of that, more than 99% of the water is reabsorbed, leaving only a small portion to be excreted. This efficiency speaks of balance refined over millions of years of evolution, a design both simple and profound, serving life quietly through endurance. The importance of hydration becomes clear when one considers this endless exchange. Water is the medium through which the kidneys perform their work. It dissolves the body's waste, carries nutrients, and enables chemical reactions. When water is scarce, the blood thickens. The kidneys must labor more intensely, and the rhythm of balance becomes strained. To drink is therefore not merely to quench thirst, but to participate in the body's cleansing stream, offering it what it needs to continue its calm renewal. In reflecting on this system, one finds an image of serenity in motion. The blood flows to the kidneys. The filtrate moves through winding channels. The bladder fills and empties, and the cycle begins again. There is no sound to it, no sense of urgency, only the steady pulse of purification. The urinary system, though modest in its appearance, represents the principle of release that sustains life. To let go of what is no longer useful, to allow clarity and balance to return. As you lie in rest and your breathing slows, the kidneys continue their patient task, unseen and unfelt. They cleanse and renew, ensuring that each cell receives the purest blood, that every system remains in quiet harmony. The body, through their work, stays light and balanced, ready to continue its endless rhythm of being. The urinary system reminds us, in its calm and constant flow, that purification is not an event, but a process, an unbroken stream that carries away what is finished and makes room for what is new. In this way, the body sustains its equilibrium, and life continues its tranquil course, one heartbeat, one breath, and one drop at a time. 9. The muscular system, motion, and stillness. Beneath the skin, beneath the stillness of rest and the grace of movement, lies a world of quiet strength. The muscular system is both power and precision, a vast network of fibers woven through the body that gives shape, motion, and stability to life itself. Every gesture, from the smallest blink to the slow turning of the head, is guided by muscles acting in harmony. Even in sleep, when the body seems motionless, they continue to hold posture, move the lungs, and maintain the gentle rhythm of the heart. The story of muscle is therefore not only one of motion, but also of endurance, a soft, constant effort that defines what it means to live. The human body contains more than 600 muscles, each one built for a unique purpose. Some are large and powerful, capable of lifting weight and propelling the body forward. Others are small and delicate, responsible for fine movements and subtle expressions. Yet, no matter their size, all muscles share a common design and a single language of contraction and release. Within each muscle fiber lies an ordered arrangement of filaments, actin and myosin, that slide past one another when stimulated, shortening the cell and creating force. This simple mechanism, repeated billions of times within the body, allows for every act of movement, from the beat of the heart to the curl of a finger. Muscle tissue exists in three primary forms: skeletal, smooth, and cardiac. Skeletal muscle attaches to bones through tendons and is responsible for voluntary movement. It allows us to walk, reach, speak, and express emotion. Each muscle fiber within skeletal muscle is a long, cylindrical cell filled with myofibrils, which are themselves composed of repeating units called sarcomeres, the smallest contractile structures. When the brain sends a signal through the nervous system, an electrical impulse reaches these fibers, releasing calcium ions that trigger the filaments to slide together. The muscle shortens, pulling on bone, and movement occurs. Once the signal fades, the calcium is reabsorbed, and the muscle relaxes again. This cycle of contraction and relaxation, so rapid and smooth, is the essence of all motion. Smooth muscle, unlike skeletal muscle, operates without conscious control. It lines the walls of internal organs such as the stomach, intestines, blood vessels, and bladder. Its contractions are slow, rhythmic, and sustained, guiding the flow of substances within the body. It moves food along the digestive tract, regulates the diameter of arteries, and helps the lungs expand and contract with ease. Though less visible than the muscles of the limbs, smooth muscle plays an equally vital role in maintaining the body's internal rhythm. Its motion is calm, steady, and tireless, often continuing long after the rest of the body has fallen still. Cardiac muscle, found only in the heart, combines the endurance of smooth muscle with the strength of skeletal muscle. It contracts involuntarily, driving the heartbeat that sustains every cell. Each cardiac fiber is connected to its neighbors by specialized junctions that allow electrical impulses to pass freely from one cell to another. This ensures that the heart beats as a single, unified organ. The rhythm begins in the sinoatrial node, a cluster of specialized cells within the right atrium that acts as the body's natural pacemaker. From this point, each impulse travels through the heart's walls in a wave, causing the chambers to contract in sequence. First the atria, then the ventricles. This silent rhythm never pauses, beginning before birth and continuing throughout life, a constant reminder of the muscular system's quiet devotion. The interplay between muscles and the skeletal system is a partnership of strength and structure. Muscles attach to bones in opposing pairs, one contracting while the other relaxes. This balance creates smooth, controlled motion. The biceps and triceps, for instance, work together to bend and straighten the arm. Without such coordination, movement would be clumsy and unstable. Ligaments, tendons, and connective tissues tie the system together, transmitting the force generated by muscle to the skeleton while maintaining flexibility. Even the smallest action, such as writing or smiling, depends on this subtle cooperation between strength and structure. Muscles do more than create motion. They also generate heat, maintain posture, and protect internal organs. In cold environments, small involuntary contractions, known as shivering, release warmth. In standing or sitting, postural muscles work continuously, holding the body upright against gravity. Even at rest, muscles maintain a slight state of tension called muscle tone, which keeps the body ready to move at any moment. Without this tone, the body would collapse into stillness, unable to maintain form. The muscular system, therefore, is not a mechanism of movement alone. It is a quiet force that preserves shape and steadiness, the framework through which life expresses itself. The relationship between muscles and the nervous system is one of perfect communication. Each voluntary contraction begins as an electrical signal in the brain. This signal travels down the spinal cord and through motor neurons to reach the muscle fibers. At the junction between nerve and muscle, known as the neuromuscular synapse, the signal becomes chemical, a release of neurotransmitters that trigger the muscle to respond. The process occurs almost instantly, yet within that speed lies great precision. The nervous system determines not only which muscles move, but also how strongly and for how long. This coordination is what allows a dancer to balance effortlessly, a writer to move the pen with care, and a heart to beat in exact rhythm with the breath. Despite their strength, muscles are deeply adaptive. They grow stronger through use, responding to the demands placed upon them by adding new fibers and increasing their capacity for contraction. They also grow weaker through neglect, shrinking slowly when unused. This adaptability reflects the body's quiet intelligence, conserving energy when possible, expanding ability when needed. Exercise, even gentle motion, keeps this system vibrant, improving circulation, flexibility, and endurance. In stillness, muscles repair and renew themselves, restoring energy for the next movement. The energy that fuels muscle contraction comes primarily from adenosine triphosphate, or ATP, the body's chemical currency of energy. When muscles are active, ATP is consumed rapidly, and the body responds by producing more through the breakdown of glucose and fatty acids. During intense exertion, when oxygen is scarce, muscles can continue to function temporarily through anaerobic metabolism, producing lactic acid as a byproduct. This ability allows for bursts of power, though at the cost of fatigue. Once oxygen becomes plentiful again, the lactic acid is cleared, and the muscle returns to its calm, efficient rhythm. Even this cycle effort, fatigue, recovery, is an expression of balance, the natural ebb and flow of energy within living tissue. The muscular system also holds memory of its own. Through repetition, movements become more fluid and automatic. This is called muscle memory, though it resides not in the muscles themselves, but in the neural pathways that coordinate them. A pianist's fingers glide effortlessly across keys. A swimmer's limbs find their rhythm without conscious thought. These abilities are the result of patterns reinforced over time, until motion and intention merge into one seamless act. It is another quiet example of the body's wisdom, its capacity to learn, adapt, and remember through movement. Even in stillness, muscles speak. The expression of the face, the tilt of the head, the gentle rise and fall of the chest each reveals something of the body's inner world. When we rest, muscles soften, releasing tension and allowing the body to settle into its natural alignment. In sleep, they enter a deeper state of relaxation, interrupted only by the subtle motions of breathing and the heartbeat's rhythm. The contrast between motion and stillness defines the life of muscle. Strength held within calm, readiness beneath rest. To contemplate the muscular system is to see the body as both instrument and performer. It carries out the will of the mind, yet it also follows its own natural intelligence, adjusting posture, maintaining temperature, and protecting life without command. Every movement, no matter how small, reflects the harmony between intention and structure, between thought and flesh. As you lie quietly and feel the heaviness of your limbs sink into the surface beneath you, you are witnessing the balance between activity and release. The muscles that once held you upright now loosen, lengthen, and rest. Deep within, others continue their quiet work, the muscles of the heart, the diaphragm, the vessels that guide the flow of blood. Even in rest, motion remains. The muscular system is never truly still. It is life's constant pulse, an orchestra of fibers playing the music of movement in endless, effortless rhythm. 10. The skeletal system. The framework of being beneath the living surface of the body lies a structure of quiet strength, a framework that holds everything together and gives shape to our existence. This is the skeletal system, the silent architecture of bone and cartilage that supports every movement, guards the organs, and anchors the muscles. Though unseen, the contours of the body, providing both stability and grace. The skeleton does not merely hold us upright. It is the foundation upon which life moves, breathes, and grows. It is firmness in harmony with flexibility, strength wrapped in silence. The human skeleton is composed of 206 bones, each one a unique blend of hardness and living vitality. Together they form a network of joints, ligaments, and connective tissues that balance rigidity with motion. These bones are not inert, they are alive, nourished by blood vessels and renewed by the continuous work of specialized cells. They serve as the body's storehouse of minerals, its shield of protection, and its enduring support. To think of bones as lifeless matter is to overlook their quiet vitality. They are living organs, constantly sensing, repairing, and adapting to the rhythms of life. From the moment of birth, the skeleton begins as a flexible framework of cartilage. As the body grows, this cartilage gradually transforms into bone through a process called ossification. Minerals such as calcium and phosphorus are deposited within the tissue, hardening it into a structure both durable and resilient. Yet even in adulthood, bone remains dynamic, perpetually breaking down and rebuilding itself. The cells responsible for this cycle, osteoblasts and osteoclasts, work in perfect balance, shaping and reshaping the skeleton in response to movement, pressure, and need. This renewal ensures that bones remain strong and responsive, capable of healing after injury and adapting to the demands placed upon them. Each bone has its own story and its own design. The long bones of the arms and legs act as levers for movement, their hollow interiors filled with marrow where new blood cells are born. The flat bones of the skull and ribs provide protection for the brain, heart, and lungs, while the irregular bones of the spine and pelvis bear the weight of posture and motion. Within every bone lies a delicate balance between strength and lightness. The outer layer, known as compact bone, is dense and solid, providing stability. Beneath it lies spongy bone, a honeycomb of thin plates that absorbs shock and reduces weight. This design gives the skeleton both endurance and efficiency, a harmony of function and form shaped by evolution's patient hand. At the core of certain bones lies the marrow, a soft living tissue where the story of life's renewal continues. Red marrow, found in the flat bones and the ends of long bones, produces red and white blood cells and platelets. Yellow marrow, composed mostly of fat, serves as an energy reserve but can transform back into red marrow in times of great need. The marrow's constant activity connects the skeletal system to the circulatory and immune systems, ensuring that the framework of the body also contributes to its vitality. Thus, the bones are not mere pillars of support, they are creators of life, quiet laboratories where renewal begins. The skeleton also serves as the protector of the body's most delicate organs. The skull, composed of 22 interlocking bones, encases the brain, one of nature's most precious creations. Its rounded shape and overlapping sutures absorb and distribute impact, shielding the mind from harm. The rib cage, a graceful cage of curved bones, surrounds the heart and lungs, expanding and contracting with each breath. The vertebral column, made up of 33 vertebrae, protects the spinal cord, the highway of the nervous system, while allowing the body to bend, twist, and move. In every movement, protection and flexibility coexist, a delicate balance that allows life to flourish safely within its bony walls. The joints of the skeleton are where motion begins. They are points of connection where two or more bones meet, cushioned by cartilage and bound by ligaments. Some joints, like those in the skull, are immovable, designed purely for protection. Others, like the shoulder and hip, allow a wide range of motion, their structure guided by both bone shape and the strength of surrounding muscles. Synovial joints, the most mobile type, are bathed in a clear, lubricating fluid that reduces friction and allows smooth movement. The design is intricate, but effortless movement that seems simple on the surface arises from countless microscopic interactions between bone, cartilage, and fluid. Even when the body is still, these joints remain alive with quiet maintenance, nourished by the circulation that passes through them. The spinal column deserves special attention, for it is both the axis of movement and the protector of the central nerve pathway. It begins at the base of the skull and descends through the back, curving gently in 3 regions to balance strength with flexibility. Each vertebra interlocks with the next, separated by discs of soft cartilage that act as cushions, absorbing the stresses of motion. The spine not only supports posture but also serves as the foundation for the body's alignment. From it, ribs, muscles, and nerves extend outward, creating both structure and sensation. The spine's natural curvature is essential. It allows for flexibility and balance, enabling the body to move with grace rather than rigidity. The skeletal system's relationship with the muscular system transforms stillness into motion. Muscles attach to bones through tendons, and when they contract, they pull on the bones to produce movement. The skeleton provides the levers, and the muscles supply the force. Without the bones' solid anchoring, movement would have no direction. Without the muscles' strength, the bones would never stir. Together, they form an intricate partnership, turning mechanical force into living expression. This cooperation is what allows the body to reach, walk, run, and rest, an unending dialogue between structure and motion. Bones also serve as reservoirs for essential minerals. Calcium, phosphorus, and other elements are stored within their matrix and released into the bloodstream as needed. This exchange maintains not only bone strength but also the function of nerves and muscles throughout the body. Hormones such as parathyroid hormone and calcitonin regulate this delicate balance, ensuring that the body always has what it requires without depleting its reserves. The skeleton, therefore, is not a static structure but a responsive system, deeply connected to every metabolic process that sustains life. When bones are broken, they reveal their remarkable capacity for healing. The process begins almost immediately. A soft callus of collagen forms around the break, soon reinforced by new bone cells that bridge the gap. Over weeks and months, this temporary structure hardens and reshapes itself, restoring both strength and form. In this regenerative ability, the skeleton mirrors the resilience of life itself, always seeking to restore balance, always finding its way back to wholeness. The skeletal system's endurance does not end with life. Long after flesh and tissue have faded, bones remain, carrying the record of who we were, the measure of our height, the trace of our motion, the imprint of our strength. They endure as symbols of permanence. Yet, during life, they are anything but still. With every step, with every breath, the skeleton flexes, absorbs, and adapts. It is living architecture, perfectly balanced between durability and grace. As you rest and feel the solid presence of your own body, remember that beneath the softness of skin lies this remarkable structure, holding you with quiet strength. The bones are not rigid in their purpose. They are responsive and alive, supporting you through every movement and every moment of stillness. They remind us that stability is not the absence of change, but the ability to endure within it. The skeletal system is, in essence, the silent companion of life. It bears our weight, protects our core, and moves with us through every experience. Without its hidden framework, the body would have no form, no foundation for motion, no protection for the delicate systems within. Yet in its quiet way, it asks for nothing, simply continuing its patient work through the years. It is the unseen strength beneath every gesture, the enduring structure that allows the body to exist in harmony with gravity, movement, and time. In the stillness of night, when every muscle softens and the world falls quiet, the skeleton remains, steadfast and calm, the eternal framework of being, holding life together in perfect, unspoken balance. 11. The integumentary system: skin, hair, and nails. Covering every inch of the human body is a soft and protective envelope, a living boundary that separates the inner world from the outer one. This is the integumentary system, an intricate network of skin, hair, and nails that forms the body's first and most enduring shield. It is both barrier and bridge, guarding the organs within while connecting the body to its surroundings through touch, temperature, and sensation. Though we often take it for granted, the skin is the body's largest organ, weighing several kilograms and stretching across an area of nearly 2 square meters. It is alive with activity, constantly renewing itself, sensing the world, and maintaining the delicate equilibrium that allows life to thrive in harmony with its environment. At its simplest, the skin may appear as a thin surface, but beneath this simplicity lies remarkable complexity. It is composed of 3 main layers, each one performing essential roles that sustain both protection and connection. The outermost layer, the epidermis, is a barrier against the external world. Made up mostly of keratinocytes, cells filled with the tough protein keratin, it constantly renews itself. New cells form at the base of the epidermis and gradually move upward, flattening and hardening as they approach the surface, until they are shed as tiny fragments of dust. This silent process of renewal happens continuously, every few weeks, ensuring that the body is always wrapped in new armor. Beneath the epidermis lies the dermis, a thicker layer composed of connective tissue, nerves, and blood vessels. It is within this layer that strength meets sensitivity. The dermis contains collagen and elastin fibers that give the skin its firmness and flexibility, allowing it to stretch, heal, and return to shape. Embedded within this living fabric are sweat glands that regulate temperature, sebaceous glands that produce oil to keep the skin supple, and a network of blood vessels that nourish the surface above. The dermis also holds the sensory receptors that detect touch, pressure, pain, and temperature, allowing the body to perceive and respond to its surroundings with precision and care. Below the dermis lies the subcutaneous tissue, or hypodermis, a layer of fat and connective tissue that cushions the body, insulates against cold, and anchors the skin to the structures beneath. Though less visible, this layer plays an important role in maintaining energy reserves and absorbing shocks from movement and impact. Together, These three layers form a seamless system, an unbroken shield that both protects and communicates. The skin's most visible function is protection. It guards against physical injury, harmful microbes, and ultraviolet radiation from the sunday. The pigment melanin, produced by specialized cells called melanocytes in the epidermis, shields deeper tissues from UV damage. Variations in skin color across humanity reflect the body's adaptation to sunlight and geography, a beautiful record of evolution's artistry, balancing protection with the need to produce vitamin D from sunlight exposure. The skin, in this sense, is a living archive of human history, shaped by the light of the world it has always faced. Equally vital is the skin's role in temperature regulation. Within its layers lie millions of sweat glands that act as natural cooling systems. When the body's temperature rises, the glands release sweat, which evaporates from the surface and carries heat away. Meanwhile, blood vessels in the dermis expand, allowing more blood to flow near the surface and release warmth. When the body grows cold, these vessels constrict, conserving heat and maintaining core temperature. The balance between these actions ensures that the body remains in equilibrium, regardless of the climate or exertion, a perfect example of homeostasis in action. The skin also serves as a sensitive communication system between the body and the environment. Through an intricate network of nerve endings, it perceives pressure, vibration, texture, and temperature. A soft breeze, the warmth of sunlight, or the coolness of water, all are experienced through the skin's delicate sensors. These sensations not only inform the mind but also shape emotional responses, connecting physical feeling with inner awareness. The comfort of a gentle touch, for example, can calm the heartbeat and release hormones that foster connection and peace. Thus, the skin is not just a physical barrier, it is also an emotional and sensory interface through which the body experiences the world's tenderness. Within the skin, hair and nails emerge as natural extensions of its structure, each with its own quiet purpose. Hair grows from follicles embedded deep in the dermis, where living cells divide rapidly to produce strands of keratin that extend outward. Each strand is a record of time, growing at a steady pace of about a centimeter each month. Though often associated with appearance, hair plays important physiological roles. On the scalp, it provides insulation and protection from sunlight. The fine hairs on the body enhance sensitivity, detecting even the faintest movements of air or touch. In colder conditions, small muscles at the base of each follicle, known as erector pili, contract, causing the hair to stand upright and trapping warmth close to the skin, an ancient reflex still present in the human form. Nails, too, are built from keratin, forming hard, protective coverings over the fingertips and toes. They shield these sensitive areas from injury and enhance the precision of touch and grip. Beneath each nail lies a bed of living tissue rich in blood vessels, giving the nails their faint pink hue. They grow continuously, shaped and strengthened by diet, health, and time. Like rings in a tree, nails carry subtle signs of the body's state, its nutrition, its circulation, its well-being. The integumentary system's ability to heal is one of its most extraordinary traits. When the skin is cut or injured, the body responds instantly. Blood vessels constrict to limit loss, and platelets form a clot to seal the breach. White blood cells arrive to cleanse the wound of debris and microbes, while fibroblast cells in the dermis begin producing new collagen fibers. Over time, new epithelial cells grow across the surface, restoring the barrier. This process unfolds quietly and naturally, a demonstration of the body's wisdom in mending itself. Scars may remain as reminders, but they too are signs of the body's resilience, the way it rebuilds even after damage. The skin also communicates with the rest of the body through the endocrine and immune systems. Specialized immune cells patrol its layers, ready to respond to threats that breach the barrier. Sweat and oils contain antimicrobial compounds that discourage the growth of harmful bacteria. Meanwhile, exposure to sunlight prompts the skin to produce vitamin D, essential for bone health and immune function. Each of these roles underscores the skin's connection to every other system. It is not separate from the inner body, but deeply integrated into its harmony. Perhaps the most subtle function of the skin is expression. Through it, emotion becomes visible. Warmth brings a blush to the cheeks. Fear or cold can turn the surface pale, and stress may cause perspiration. The skin mirrors the inner state of the body and the mind, speaking a silent language of feeling that needs no words. It is both shield and storyteller, reflecting every mood, every change in the quiet theater of the self. As we grow older, the skin records the passage of time with delicate honesty. Its elasticity diminishes, its surface thins, and lines appear where laughter and thought have left their traces. These changes are natural, marks of experience rather than decay. The skin continues to protect, to feel, and to renew, even as its texture alters. It carries within it the story of every day, every season, every touch, a living journal written in the language of sunlight and time. To contemplate the integumentary system is to recognize the profound unity between inner and outer life. It is the meeting place between the body and the world, the first line of defense and the first point of contact. Through it, the body feels the rain, the warmth of fire, the coolness of evening air. It is the organ of connection, reminding us that we are not separate from our surroundings but in constant dialogue with them. As you rest and feel the softness of your skin against the quiet air, remember that it is working even now, breathing faintly, sensing, protecting, renewing. It is both the body's guardian and its storyteller, an endless cycle of renewal and awareness. The skin, along with its companions, hair and nails, forms not merely a covering, but a living boundary that sustains and expresses life. In its silence lies its power, and in its continuity lies its grace. A reminder that even the smallest sensation on the surface of the skin echoes the vast intelligence of the body beneath it. 12. The immune system, the gentle defenders. Within the vast landscape of the human body exists a quiet, unseen army, an intricate network of cells, tissues, and molecules that keeps constant watch over life itself. This is the immune system, a guardian that works not through aggression, but through balance and recognition. Its purpose is not only to protect, but to preserve harmony within the body's inner world, distinguishing what belongs from what does not. It is a system of profound intelligence, built upon memory and communication, defending the body from harm with precision and calm persistence. Every moment, countless microorganisms, bacteria, viruses, fungi, and other tiny entities touch the surface of the body. Many are harmless, even beneficial, living peacefully upon the skin and within the digestive tract. Others, however, seek to enter and disrupt the body's balance. The immune system stands between these two realms, allowing cooperation where it is safe and preventing intrusion where it is not. It is both sentinel and mediator, working ceaselessly to ensure that the body's inner environment remains steady and whole. At its foundation, the immune system is composed of two interwoven branches, the innate and the adaptive. The innate immune system is the body's first line of defense, ancient and instinctive. It responds immediately to threats, recognizing patterns common to harmful microbes rather than specific identities. The adaptive immune system, by contrast, is more refined and deliberate, learns, remembers, and responds with tailored precision, crafting defenses that become stronger with each encounter. Together, these two systems create a harmony of immediacy and memory, speed and strategy, a balance perfected through the history of life itself. The innate immune system begins its work the moment a barrier is breached. The skin, mucous membranes, and secretions such as tears and saliva are the first protectors, forming physical and chemical shields. Should something slip past these, immune cells stand ready within the tissues. Among them are macrophages, large, patient cells that engulf and digest invaders through a process called phagocytosis. These cells do not act in silence. They release signaling molecules known as cytokines, which summon other defenders to the site of intrusion. Nearby blood vessels widen, allowing more immune cells to enter. What results is inflammation, a sign not of chaos, but of repair. The warmth and redness that sometimes accompany it are evidence of increased blood flow, bringing nutrients, oxygen, and healing factors to the area. Alongside macrophages are neutrophils, the swift responders of the immune system. They move quickly to sites of infection, neutralizing threats before they can spread. Natural killer cells patrol for infected or abnormal cells, eliminating them with precision to prevent greater harm. Each cell plays its role with purpose, contributing to the quiet choreography that maintains the integrity of the body. Even at rest, these defenders circulate within the blood and lymph, ever vigilant, ever ready to act. The adaptive immune system adds another layer of sophistication to this protection. Its primary players are lymphocytes, white blood cells that recognize specific invaders and remember them for the future. Among these are two main types, B cells and T cells. B cells produce antibodies, specialized proteins that bind to foreign substances called antigens, marking them for destruction or neutralizing them directly. Each B cell is programmed to recognize a single unique antigen, and when it encounters that match, it multiplies, filling the bloodstream with antibodies designed precisely for that invader. T cells, meanwhile, operate more directly. Helper T cells coordinate immune responses by signaling other cells, while cytotoxic T cells seek out and destroy infected cells. Once an infection is defeated, some of these lymphocytes remain behind as memory cells, silently preserving the knowledge of the encounter. If the same pathogen returns, the response is faster, stronger, and more efficient. This is the essence of immunity, learning through experience, adapting to the challenges of life, and carrying the memory of every victory within. The lymphatic system serves as the immune system's network of communication and transport. It is composed of a series of vessels, nodes, and organs that move lymph, a clear fluid containing immune cells throughout the body. Lymph nodes, small and bean-shaped, act as gathering places where immune cells meet and exchange information. When an infection occurs, these nodes often swell, not as a sign of harm, but as evidence of activity, a council of defenders assembling to assess and respond. The spleen, located in the upper abdomen, filters the blood, removing old cells and pathogens, while the thymus, situated behind the sternum, serves as a training ground for developing T cells. Even the bone marrow contributes, generating the stem cells that become the immune system's diverse population. This entire network operates through balance, rather than aggression. It is not destruction that defines immunity, but discernment, the ability to know what to eliminate and what to protect. Sometimes, when this balance falters, the system may turn its vigilance inward, mistaking the body's own cells for invaders. Such autoimmune conditions remind us that even defense requires harmony, and that health depends on cooperation between all parts of the self. The immune system's reach extends beyond physical defense. It is deeply connected to the body's emotional and environmental state. Stress, for example, can alter immune function, suppressing certain responses while heightening others. Sleep, nutrition, and even the rhythm of daylight influence its activity. The body's immune rhythm follows cycles stronger during wakefulness, quieter in rest, mirroring the natural ebb and flow of life. When the body sleeps, immune cells circulate more freely, repairing and restoring tissue. In this way, the immune system does not merely defend, it participates in healing, renewal, and balance. Within the gut lies one of the immune system's most surprising arenas. The intestines, lined with trillions of microbes, form a living ecosystem known as the microbiome. Far from being enemies, many of these microorganisms assist in digestion, vitamin production, and immune regulation. Specialized immune cells in the gut constantly sample their environment, distinguishing friend from foe. This partnership between body and microbe forms an essential part of human health, a silent alliance that reminds us that life thrives not through isolation, but through cooperation. Vaccination, one of humanity's great achievements, is an expression of the immune system's memory. By introducing a harmless form or fragment of a pathogen, the body is prompted to build its defenses without the danger of illness. Memory cells are created, waiting quietly for a future encounter. If that encounter comes, the response is immediate. The invader neutralized before harm can occur. This gentle training of the immune system reflects the body's ability to learn and adapt, a principle of both biology and wisdom. In times of illness, the immune system becomes most visible. Fever rises as a natural defense, increasing temperature to hinder microbial growth. Fatigue sets in, encouraging rest so that energy can be directed toward healing. Though these sensations may feel unpleasant, they are signs of the body's careful design responses meant not to harm, but to restore. Every symptom, when seen in this light, is part of the immune system's conversation with the self, guiding the body back toward equilibrium. Even when no threat is present, the immune system's quiet vigilance continues. It surveys every cell, identifying and removing those that are damaged or no longer needed. In doing so, it helps prevent disease and maintains the purity of the body's inner environment. It is not only a defender, but also a caretaker, shaping and preserving the health of the entire organism. The immune system, like all others, seeks balance. Too little activity leaves the body vulnerable. Too much creates unnecessary conflict. Health arises from the calm center between these extremes, where the system acts neither in panic nor neglect, but in measured wisdom. This harmony is mirrored in the body's overall design. Every system connected, every process communicating, all working toward the same quiet goal, the preservation of life. As you breathe softly and rest, your immune system continues its watch. It moves without sound, guided by unseen intelligence, cleansing, repairing, remembering. Its purpose is not conquest, but peace, the steady maintenance of wholeness within the living body. To know the immune system is to understand that protection need not be forceful. It can be gentle, responsive, and profoundly patient. In its tireless devotion, the immune system reflects the deeper nature of life itself, that to endure, we must balance vigilance with harmony, strength with calm, and defense with compassion. 13. The reproductive system, the renewal of life. Among all the systems of the human body, none carries such profound symbolism as the reproductive system, the quiet architect of continuity, the vessel through which life renews itself. While other systems sustain the body, the reproductive system sustains the species, linking each person to generations before and those yet to come. It is not merely a biological mechanism, but a reflection of nature's cycle of creation, growth, and renewal. In its calm precision, it carries both the potential of beginnings and the wisdom of preservation. The reproductive system exists in two forms, male and female, each designed not in isolation, but in complementarity. Together, they form a partnership through which new life can emerge. The differences between them are not oppositions, but harmonies. Two patterns of the same song, distinct, yet inseparable in purpose. Though the structures of each body differ, the processes that guide them share the same quiet language of balance. The release of cells, the meeting of genetic material, and the long unfolding of development from a single fertilized cell into a living being. In the male body, the reproductive system's design centers upon the production and delivery of sperm, the microscopic carriers of genetic information. The testes, housed within the scrotum, are the site of this creation. Within their coiled tubules, countless sperm cells are produced each day through a process called spermatogenesis. Surrounding this activity, the interstitial cells produce testosterone, the hormone that shapes male characteristics, influences muscle mass and bone density, and drives the instinct toward reproduction. Each sperm cell, though invisible to the naked eye, contains half the genetic instructions needed for a new life. 23 chromosomes, carrying the heritage of ancestry and the promise of future generations. The sperm cells, once formed, move into the epididymis, a tightly folded tube that rests atop each testis. There, they mature, gaining the ability to swim and to recognize the egg they are destined to seek. From this point, they pass into the vas deferens, a long muscular duct that carries them toward the urethra. Along this journey, they receive nourishment and fluid from the seminal vesicles and prostate gland, whose secretions form the medium known as semen. These fluids provide energy, protection, and mobility, ensuring that the sperm can survive the passage from one body to another. When the time for release arrives, rhythmic contractions guide the semen outward, completing the act of transmission. The process is as ancient as life itself, a merging of intention and physiology, shaped by countless generations of evolution. In the female body, the reproductive system follows a rhythm as gentle as the turning of the moon. The ovaries, small almond-shaped organs deep within the pelvic cavity, serve as both creators and keepers of potential. Each one contains thousands of immature egg cells, or ova, formed long before birth. Each month, under the influence of hormones from the pituitary gland, a single egg matures and is released in a process known as ovulation. The egg then travels into the fallopian tube, where it may encounter a sperm cell and unite with it to form a zygote, a single cell that carries within it the blueprint of a new human being. The uterus, often called the womb, is the receptive center of the reproductive system, prepared each month to nurture new life. Its inner lining, the endometrium, thickens in anticipation of an embryo. If fertilization occurs, the developing zygote travels down the fallopian tube and implants into this lining, beginning the long journey of growth that will lead to birth. If no fertilization takes place, the endometrium is gently shed and renewed, emerging as the monthly cycle known as menstruation. This rhythmic process of preparation, release, and renewal is an expression of nature's patient balance. It reflects the body's understanding of timing, of readiness, of release, and regeneration. Pregnancy is the most intricate and transformative process within the reproductive system. It begins with the meeting of two cells, each carrying half the genetic code, which merge to form a single complete being. From that first union, the embryo begins to divide, its cells multiplying and differentiating, each one assuming its role in the creation of tissues and organs. Within weeks, a heartbeat forms a rhythm that will echo throughout life. The placenta, a remarkable temporary organ, develops to connect the growing fetus with the mother's blood supply, allowing the exchange of oxygen, nutrients, and waste. It acts as both filter and lifeline, a symbol of unity between two lives. Throughout pregnancy, the mother's body adapts with quiet intelligence. Hormones shift to support the growing child, blood volume increases, and the muscles of the uterus stretch and strengthen in preparation for birth. These changes, though profound, occur gradually and gracefully, guided by natural design. When the time for birth arrives, the body's rhythm changes once more. The muscles of the uterus contract in waves. The cervix opens, and the child emerges into the world, a continuation of life's unbroken thread. Each birth carries the echo of all births before it, the timeless renewal that has sustained humanity across ages. The hormones that guide the reproductive system form one of its most subtle and powerful aspects. In both male and female bodies, these chemical messengers shape not only reproductive function but also emotion, energy, and behavior. Estrogen and progesterone in the female body regulate the menstrual cycle, influence mood, and maintain the health of bones, skin, and the cardiovascular system. Testosterone in the male body enhances strength, drive, and vitality. These hormones ebb and flow through the stages of life, from adolescence to maturity, and into the later years, marking transitions with gentle precision. Puberty awakens the system, adulthood stabilizes it, and with age, it gradually quiets, entering a phase of reflection rather than creation. The reproductive system's connection to emotion and intimacy reveals another dimension of its purpose. While its biological function is the continuation of life, its experiential role is to create bonds between partners, between parents and children, between generations. Touch, affection, and closeness all engage the same pathways that support reproduction, releasing hormones such as oxytocin, often called the bonding hormone. This chemistry reinforces trust and calm, reminding us that reproduction is not only about creating life, but about nurturing connection. The reproductive system, in this sense, embodies the principle of unity, the merging of two into one, the interdependence of individuals, the continuity of existence itself. As life progresses, the rhythm of reproduction evolves. In later years, hormonal cycles change, fertility wanes, and the body transitions into a phase of rest. For women, this shift is marked by menopause, a natural cessation of ovulation and menstruation. Though often viewed as an ending, it is more accurately a transformation, a gentle turning inward, where energy once devoted to creation is redirected toward wisdom, reflection, and renewal. In men, hormonal changes occur more slowly, with testosterone levels gradually declining over time. Yet in both, the essence of the reproductive system remains not in the act of reproduction, but in the ongoing vitality it represents. The reproductive system, like every other, is governed by the principle of balance. It is both giver and receiver, creator and sustainer, active and restful. It mirrors the cycles of the earth itself, the planting of seed, the growth of life, the harvest, and the quiet of winter. In its rhythms, we see reflected the truth that all of nature moves through periods of expansion and rest, of birth and renewal. To contemplate this system is to glimpse the continuity of life as a single, unbroken line, stretching through time. Every living human is the product of countless generations before, each birth carrying forward the essence of those who came before it. The reproductive system is the vessel through which this inheritance flows, not only in the transmission of genetic material, but in the perpetuation of care, instinct, and connection. As you rest and breathe, your own body carries this story. Even if no new life is created, the potential remains within the quiet knowledge of how to begin again. Written into every cell, it is the body's remembrance of its origin, its built-in reverence for the cycle of renewal. The reproductive system is not simply the system of creation, it is the embodiment of continuity, a soft and sacred reminder that life, in all its forms, is designed to endure, to evolve, and to begin anew. 14. The sensory systems, windows to the world. All that we know of the world, its colors, its sounds, its textures, and scents, enters us through the senses. They are the body's gentle translators, turning waves of light, vibrations of air, and traces of molecules into experiences of meaning and wonder. The sensory systems do not simply deliver information, they weave perception, transforming raw data into the living tapestry of consciousness. Through them, the body reaches outward, connecting with the landscape around it, while at the same time turning inward, reflecting emotion, memory, and thought. Each sense is a quiet gateway, opening us to the world's beauty, guiding our movements, and helping us understand who we are within the endless flow of sensation. The five traditional senses: sight, hearing, taste, smell, and touch, each reveal a different aspect of reality. Yet they do not work alone. They are deeply interconnected, cooperating in ways so subtle that we rarely notice the boundary between them. The sight of a sunset, for instance, feels incomplete without the soft whisper of wind or the faint scent of evening air. The senses overlap and merge, their signals converging in the brain to create the seamless experience we call perception. Sight is perhaps the most dominant of these senses, painting the visible world upon the canvas of the mind. The eyes, small spheres of fluid and light-sensitive tissue, serve as instruments of extraordinary precision. When light enters through the cornea, it bends gently, passing through the lens, which adjusts its shape to focus images onto the retina. This thin layer at the back of the eye contains millions of photoreceptor cells, rods, and cones, each attuned to particular wavelengths of light. Rods perceive brightness and allow vision in dim environments, while cones detect color, dividing light into the rich hues of red, green, and blue. The signals gathered by these receptors are converted into electrical impulses that travel along the optic nerve toward the brain. There, in the visual cortex, the patterns are decoded and reconstructed into the world we see. But sight is not merely mechanical, it is interpretive. The brain fills gaps, adjusts for shadows, and recognizes familiar shapes even when they are incomplete. What we perceive as vision is not only light entering the eyes, it is the mind's quiet artistry, transforming light into meaning, pattern, and beauty. Hearing, too, transforms invisible movement into experience. The ear captures vibrations in the air and translates them into sound, revealing the rhythm of life around us. Sound waves travel through the air and enter the outer ear, where the curved structure of the pinna directs them into the auditory canal. They strike the eardrum, causing it to vibrate, and those vibrations are passed through three tiny bones: the malleus, incus, and stapes within the middle ear. These bones amplify the sound and send it into the fluid-filled cochlea of the inner ear, where the real transformation occurs. Within the cochlea, thousands of microscopic hair cells bend in response to the movement of fluid. Each bending motion triggers an electrical signal which travels along the auditory nerve to the brain. The pitch, tone, and volume of every sound are determined by where and how these cells are stimulated. Together, they form the symphony of perception, the quiet hum of distant wind, the resonance of a heartbeat, the murmur of a voice speaking softly nearby. Hearing connects us to others, to language, and to music, which speaks directly to emotion. The rhythmic patterns of sound influence mood, memory, and even the body's own rhythm, often synchronizing heartbeat and breath to the cadence of what is heard. Smell, or olfaction, is the most ancient of the senses, deeply tied to memory and instinct. With each breath, molecules from the world drift into the nasal cavity, where they dissolve in a thin layer of mucus and bind to receptors on specialized sensory neurons. These receptors, numbering in the hundreds, detect specific chemical structures and send signals through the olfactory bulb to the brain. The combination of signals creates the vast palette of scents that we can perceive, from the sweetness of flowers to the sharpness of rain on stone. Unlike the other senses, smell has a direct connection to the limbic system, the brain's center for emotion and memory. This is why a single scent can bring forth a vivid recollection, long thought forgotten, a garden from childhood, the warmth of a familiar kitchen, the feeling of a long ago evening. Smell links us not only to the present but also to the deep well of experience, reminding us that perception is as much about remembering as it is about sensing. Taste, or gustation, works in close partnership with smell to shape our perception of flavor. The tongue is covered with tiny structures called papillae, each containing taste buds that detect 5 basic sensations: sweet, sour, salty, bitter, and umami, the savory taste associated with proteins. When food dissolves in saliva, its molecules interact with these receptors, the brain that combine with sense from the nose to create the complete experience of flavor. Taste is both nourishment and pleasure, guiding us toward what sustains and protecting us from what might harm. It reflects the intimate relationship between body and environment, the exchange of the outer world with the inner one, made tangible in the act of eating. Touch, perhaps the most fundamental of the senses, is the body's constant dialogue with the world. The skin, our largest organ, is covered with sensory receptors that detect pressure, vibration, temperature, and pain. Some respond to the lightest brush of movement, others to deep pressure or heat. Through these signals, we feel texture, weight, and contact. Touch allows us to navigate space, to recognize objects, to protect ourselves, and to express affection. It also shapes emotional well-being. The warmth of a hand, the softness of a blanket, the comfort of gentle contact, all communicate safety and belonging. Even before birth, the developing body responds to touch, and long after words are forgotten, the sense remains, connecting us to the simple awareness of being held in the world. Beyond these 5 traditional senses, the body possesses others just as vital, though less often acknowledged. Proprioception, for example, is the sense of position and movement. It allows you to know where your limbs are without looking, to walk, stretch, or rest with coordination and balance. The vestibular sense, located within the inner ear, detects motion and equilibrium, informing the body whether it stands upright, turns, or falls. These senses, though silent, provide the foundation for orientation and grace, grounding our awareness in space. The sensory systems are not isolated mechanisms but deeply integrated networks, constantly communicating with the nervous system. When light enters the eyes or a sound reaches the ears, the brain does not simply receive it, interprets, compares, and connects. The result is perception, a living mosaic of impressions stitched together by the mind. In every moment, these senses collaborate to form the seamless experience of reality. Without them, the world would remain a silent, formless void. Through them, it becomes vivid and alive. The senses also influence emotion and thought. A soft color can calm the mind. A scent can stir nostalgia. A sound can awaken joy or sadness. The brain does not separate these experiences. They mingle and flow together, shaping mood and memory. This intertwining of sensory and emotional life is what gives human experience its depth. A familiar melody can carry the weight of years. The feel of warm sunlight can evoke peace that words cannot express. Through the senses, the mind touches the world and is touched in return. In their constant motion, the sensory systems maintain the link between the internal and external realms. They remind us that life is not contained within the boundaries of the body, but extends into the space we share with all that exists. The eyes take in light that has traveled from stars. The ears receive air vibrations that began in another's voice. The skin feels the temperature of the wind as it moves across the earth. In every sense, we are connected to place, to others, to the flow of existence itself. As the day ends and the senses begin to soften, their activity does not cease but transforms. The eyes close, the ears grow attuned to subtler sounds. The skin feels the quiet air resting against it. Even in sleep, these systems continue their work, guarding, sensing, adjusting. They remain half awake, ensuring safety and balance, allowing the body to rest while still attuned to the world's rhythm. To reflect on the sensory systems is to marvel at the elegance of perception, the way the body turns the invisible forces of the world into the poetry of experience. Through them, we do not merely survive. We encounter beauty, connection, and meaning. They are the gentle windows through which the soul observes existence, the delicate instruments that let the universe whisper its presence into our awareness. And in their quiet harmony, they remind us that to be alive is to be in conversation with the world, to listen, to feel, to see, and to simply be within the flowing tapestry of sensation. 15. The nervous system, the symphony of communication. Within every living moment, within every thought, sensation, and movement, there flows an invisible current of communication. This current moves through a vast network that links every part of the body into one unified whole. It carries messages faster than light can cross a room, connecting the mind to muscle, the senses to perception, and the inner world to the outer one. This is the nervous system, the body's conductor of the great symphony of life. It is at once delicate and powerful, precise and infinite, holding within it the spark of consciousness and the quiet rhythm of existence. The nervous system is divided into two main parts: the central nervous system, which includes the brain and spinal cord, and the peripheral nervous system, a network of nerves that extend throughout the body. Together, they form a living communication web of astonishing complexity. Through this system, the body perceives, decides, and responds in a continuous cycle of awareness and action. It is the unseen intelligence behind every heartbeat, every breath, every movement of the eyes and hands, every thought that arises like a wave and fades again into stillness. The brain, enclosed safely within the skull, is the central organ of this system, a structure of extraordinary delicacy and power, composed of billions of neurons. It weighs only about 3 pounds. Yet within its folds resides the entirety of human experience. The surface of the brain, known as the cerebral cortex, is divided into regions that specialize in different tasks. The occipital lobe interprets visual information. The temporal lobe processes sound and memory. The parietal lobe manages touch and spatial awareness, and the frontal lobe governs thought, decision-making, and motion. Beneath these layers lies the limbic system, where emotion and memory intertwine, and deeper still rests the brainstem, the quiet keeper of the body's vital functions, breathing, heart rate, and consciousness itself. Each neuron in the brain is a living wire, capable of transmitting electrical impulses along its length and sending signals across tiny gaps called synapses. These synapses are bridges where one neuron communicates with another through chemical messengers called neurotransmitters. Each impulse is an event of energy and chemistry, a spark of thought, sensation, or movement. Billions of such sparks occur every second, creating patterns that shift and flow like the currents of a river. Together, they form the continuous stream of consciousness, the unbroken awareness that defines life. The spinal cord, extending downward from the brain, serves as the central highway of communication. Protected by the vertebrae of the spine, it carries messages between the brain and the body. Within it, bundles of nerve fibers transmit signals outward to the limbs and inward from the senses. Reflexes, the body's automatic responses to certain stimuli, are often processed here directly, allowing for instantaneous reaction without the need for conscious thought. When your hand pulls away from a hot surface before you even realize the heat, it is the spinal cord acting on instinct, preserving safety before the mind can intervene. The peripheral nervous system branches outward from the spinal cord and brain, reaching every organ and tissue. It is divided into the somatic and autonomic systems. The somatic system governs voluntary movement and sensory communication. It allows you to walk, reach, write, and feel the world through touch. The autonomic system, on the other hand, manages the body's internal environment without the need for conscious control. It regulates heart rate, digestion, respiration, and countless other processes, maintaining the balance known as homeostasis. Within the autonomic system, two forces exist in elegant opposition and cooperation: the sympathetic and parasympathetic divisions. The sympathetic system prepares the body for action, quickening the heartbeat, widening the pupils, and releasing energy for use in moments of stress or alertness. The parasympathetic system restores calm, slowing the heart, encouraging digestion, and allowing rest and recovery. These two halves, though opposite in function, are not in conflict. They alternate like tides, each ensuring the body's balance between effort and ease, vigilance and tranquility. The neurons that compose this vast network are among the most specialized cells in existence. Each one has a body, a single long extension called an axon, and branching structures called dendrites. The axon transmits signals away from the cell body, while the dendrites receive incoming signals. Wrapped around many axons is a sheath of myelin, a fatty substance that acts like insulation, allowing impulses to travel with remarkable speed. When a neuron fires, an electrical signal known as an action potential races along its length, sometimes traveling over 100 meters per second. In the space of a heartbeat, countless signals travel through the body, coordinating every action with silent precision. Yet the nervous system is not merely mechanical. Its patterns of activity give rise to awareness, emotion, and thought. The brain does not simply process information, it experiences it. A sound becomes music, light becomes color, and sensation becomes feeling. This transformation from electrical impulse to conscious experience remains one of nature's deepest mysteries. What is clear, however, is that every thought and feeling has a physical echo within this network. When the mind is calm, the brain's activity slows into smooth, rhythmic waves. When anxious or alert, it quickens, rippling with bursts of energy. These waves reflect not only mental state but also physical well-being, showing how deeply the mind and body are intertwined. Memory, one of the brain's most remarkable abilities, is also an expression of this system's adaptability. When we learn something new, neurons form new connections, and existing ones strengthen. This process, called neuroplasticity, allows the brain to change throughout life, shaping itself according to experience. Memories are not stored in a single location but distributed across networks of neurons, woven into the fabric of thought and perception. Each memory, when recalled, is reconstructed, slightly reshaped by time and emotion. In this way, memory is both record and interpretation, a living reflection of who we are and what we have known. Emotion, too, is inseparable from the nervous system. It arises from the limbic structures deep within the brain, the amygdala, the hippocampus, and the hypothalamus working together with the endocrine system to release hormones that influence mood and behavior. Fear, joy, sorrow, and calm are not abstract concepts. They are states of the body as much as the mind. The nervous system does not simply observe these feelings, it creates and lives them, turning thought into sensation and sensation into experience. Even in rest, the nervous system hums with quiet activity. The brain never truly sleeps. It continues to regulate breathing, maintain balance, and process information. During sleep, it organizes memories, repairs tissues, and restores chemical balance. Dreams arise as fragments of thought and imagery woven into temporary narratives, expressions of the brain's ongoing dialogue with itself. In this nightly cycle, the nervous system reminds us that even in stillness, life continues to flow, hidden beneath the surface of awareness. The harmony of this system depends on the balance of its connections. When stress or exhaustion disrupts the nervous rhythm, signals can become chaotic, affecting every organ and thought. Calm breathing, rest, and gentle movement help restore equilibrium by activating the parasympathetic pathways that soothe the body. Through these acts, we can feel the nervous system's influence directly: the slowing of the heart, the release of tension, the clarity that returns when the mind grows still. The body's calm is the brain's calm. They are one and the same. Every sensation, every thought, and every movement you experience in this moment is guided by the nervous system. It receives the warmth of the air on your skin, translates it into awareness, and sends that knowledge back into stillness. It listens to the steady beat of your heart, to the rhythm of your breath, and harmonizes them without demand or noise. Beneath all conscious thought, this system continues its endless work, connecting, interpreting. To contemplate the nervous system is to glimpse the unity of being, the way all parts of the self are connected in a single, continuous network of life. It is the body's orchestra, playing softly but endlessly, its melodies shaping perception, motion, and memory. And like a symphony, it requires balance, moments of intensity followed by moments of rest. Within its flowing currents lies both the spark of awareness and the peace of silence. The nervous system, in its infinite subtlety, is the whispering intelligence that guides all that we are, the mind's quiet pulse, the conductor of life's unending song. 16. The endocrine system, the silent messengers of balance. Deep within the human body, beyond the rushing of blood and the firing of nerves, there exists a slower, quieter current, a river of invisible messages carried not by electricity, but by chemistry. This is the endocrine system, the network of glands and hormones that guides the body's inner harmony. Where the nervous system acts in flashes of speed, the endocrine system works through time, sending signals that unfold gradually, shaping growth, metabolism, emotion, and the delicate rhythm of life itself. Its messages travel through the bloodstream, reaching every corner of the body, whispering to cells when to grow, when to rest, when to awaken, and when to heal. It is the body's silent voice of balance, unseen yet essential, patient yet powerful. The endocrine system is composed of a constellation of glands, each with its own unique role, yet all working together in seamless unity. At the center of this constellation lies the hypothalamus, a small but vital structure within the brain that serves as a bridge between the nervous and endocrine systems. It senses the body's internal state temperature, hunger, stress, sleep, and responds by sending chemical instructions to another master gland, the pituitary. The pituitary gland, often called the conductor of the endocrine orchestra, releases hormones that influence nearly every other gland in the body. Through this connection, thought and emotion become chemistry, and chemistry, in turn, shapes the body's physical state. From the pituitary's quiet signals emerge countless actions. It releases growth hormone, which governs the development of bones and tissues. It sends adrenocorticotropic hormone to stimulate the adrenal glands, helping the body respond to stress. It produces prolactin, encouraging milk production in new mothers, and luteinizing and follicle-stimulating hormones, which regulate reproduction and fertility. The pituitary's reach extends far beyond its tiny size. Its influence touches nearly every process of life, ensuring that each organ and system operates in concert with the rest. Above the kidneys rest the adrenal glands, twin peaks of power that manage the body's response to challenge and change. When danger, excitement, or exertion arises, the adrenal medulla releases adrenaline and noradrenaline hormones that quicken the heartbeat, sharpen the senses, and channel energy to muscles. This is the body's ancient survival response, preparing for movement, focus, and endurance. The outer layer of the adrenal gland, the cortex, produces slower acting hormones like cortisol and aldosterone. Cortisol helps regulate metabolism and reduce inflammation, while aldosterone controls salt and water balance, maintaining proper blood pressure. These hormones ensure that even in times of stress or scarcity, the body remains stable, adjusting itself with precision to each circumstance. The thyroid gland, shaped like a delicate butterfly and nestled in the neck, is another keeper of balance. It produces hormones that regulate metabolism, the rate at which the body converts nutrients into energy. When thyroid hormones flow steadily, the body maintains warmth, energy, and alertness. If they rise too high, the heart races, the body burns fuel too quickly, and restlessness follows. If they fall too low, everything slows, bringing fatigue and chill. This small gland's harmony is essential, and its function depends on iodine, a trace element drawn from the diet and the sea. Surrounding the thyroid are the parathyroid glands, 4 tiny sentinels that maintain calcium balance in the blood, ensuring that muscles contract smoothly, that nerves transmit signals, and that bones remain strong. Within the chest, behind the sternum, lies the thymus, an organ that shines most brightly in youth. It is the training ground for certain immune cells known as T lymphocytes, which protect the body against infection. Though the thymus gradually diminishes after adolescence, its early influence leaves a lasting mark, strengthening the immune system's wisdom and discernment. It is a reminder that the endocrine system does not only regulate the body's functions, but also shapes its resilience and defenses. Beneath the stomach rests the pancreas, a gland that bridges 2 worlds, endocrine and digestive. It produces insulin and glucagon, hormones that regulate the body's blood sugar levels. When blood sugar rises after eating, insulin encourages cells to absorb glucose for energy or storage. When levels fall, glucagon signals the liver to release stored glucose, keeping the body's energy steady between meals. This balance is so precise that even small disruptions can ripple through every system, affecting mood, focus, and vitality. Through this subtle conversation between insulin and glucagon, the body maintains its quiet equilibrium, neither too much nor too little, always adjusting with grace. The reproductive glands, ovaries in females and testes in males, are also part of the endocrine system, their influence extending far beyond reproduction alone. The ovaries produce estrogen and progesterone, hormones that regulate the menstrual cycle, support pregnancy, and shape the characteristics of femininity. They also influence bone density, heart health, and emotional rhythm. The testes produce testosterone, which governs sperm production and contributes to strength, drive, and the characteristics of masculinity. Both sets of hormones, though different in expression, share the same purpose: to sustain balance, to regulate energy, and to harmonize the physical and emotional dimensions of life. The pineal gland, small and hidden deep within the brain, holds a role both mysterious and essential. It secretes melatonin, the hormone that governs sleep and wakefulness. Melatonin levels rise in darkness, signaling to the body that it is time to rest and fall with the coming of light. This rhythm aligns the body with the cycle of day and night, synchronizing the internal world with the turning of the earth. In ancient writings, the pineal gland was called the seat of the soul, perhaps because it stands at the threshold between body and mind, mediating between wakefulness and dream. Each of these glands works not in isolation but in conversation. The hormones they release travel through the bloodstream, reaching distant organs and tissues, guiding them like invisible messengers. These hormones do not act abruptly but gently, with patience, often influencing one another in loops of feedback and adjustment. When a certain hormone rises too high, the brain sends signals to slow its production. When it falls too low, production resumes. This constant dialogue ensures stability amid change, a quiet example of the body's self-regulating intelligence. The influence of hormones extends beyond physiology into emotion and thought. They shape how we feel, how we perceive, and even how we move through time. Cortisol surges during stress, sharpening awareness but also reminding us to rest when the challenge passes. Oxytocin, released during touch, affection, and childbirth, deepens bonds and fosters trust. Serotonin and dopamine, though often thought of as brain chemicals, also act as hormonal messengers of mood and motivation. Each one is part of the great emotional landscape of the body, linking chemistry to feeling, biology to being. Even the passage of time is guided by the endocrine system, from the first stirrings of puberty to the gentle changes of aging. Hormones act as the markers of life's transitions. Growth hormone shapes childhood and adolescence. Sex hormones awaken maturity, and in later years, their decline ushers in a period of reflection and calm. This progression mirrors the cycles of the natural world, the blooming of spring, the fullness of summer, the slowing of autumn, and the stillness of winter. Through the rhythm of its chemistry, the endocrine system connects human life to the wider rhythm of existence. Like the rest of the body, this system is most harmonious when nourished by rest, balance, and peace. Chronic stress can strain the adrenal glands, unbalancing cortisol levels and affecting sleep, digestion, and mood. Gentle breathing, deep sleep, and mindful calm restore equilibrium, allowing hormones to find their natural rhythm once again. Nutrition, too, plays its role, as minerals and vitamins serve as the raw materials for hormone production and regulation. When the body is cared for with gentleness, the endocrine system responds with the same grace, rebalancing the quiet flow of life within. In reflecting upon this system, one sees the elegance of communication that transcends speed or noise. The endocrine system does not rush. It speaks softly and waits for response. It embodies patience and subtlety, orchestrating processes that unfold over days, months, or even years. It teaches that balance is not an act of control but of harmony, that stability arises not from force, but from cooperation. Even now, as you breathe and rest, the endocrine system continues its slow and constant work. It adjusts the pulse, regulates warmth, maintains calm. Its messengers drift through the bloodstream, carrying quiet instruction to every cell. It does not seek attention, yet without it, the body's harmony would dissolve. It is the gentle intelligence that holds the inner world together, the silent conductor of time, change, and balance. Through its still voice, life maintains its steady rhythm, reminding us that the truest strength often lies not in motion, but in the calm persistence of balance. 17. The lymphatic system, the quiet rivers of renewal. Flowing beneath the surface of the human body is a network both subtle and profound, a system of transparent rivers that move not with the force of the heartbeat, but with the gentlest currents of motion. This is the lymphatic system, a second circulatory network that works in quiet partnership with the cardiovascular and immune systems. It does not thunder like the blood's rapid pulse, nor draw attention through sensation or sound. Instead, it moves with calm persistence, collecting, cleansing, and returning. maintaining the body's purity and balance with patient care. It is the hidden stream of renewal, the silent tide that keeps the inner world clear and at peace. While the blood delivers nutrients and oxygen, the lymphatic system performs the equally vital task of cleansing and restoring. It gathers excess fluid from tissues, filters out impurities, and returns the purified liquid, known as lymph, back to the bloodstream. Without it, the body would swell with stagnation, and toxins would linger where movement once brought clarity. It is the system that ensures nothing within the body remains still for too long. In its continuous, graceful circulation, we find an echo of life's broader rhythm, the cycle of giving, cleansing, and renewal that governs all living things. The lymphatic system begins in the smallest spaces, among the tissues of the body where blood vessels release their load of nutrients. Not all of this fluid returns immediately to the veins. Some lingers, bathing the cells and collecting waste. The lymphatic capillaries, delicate vessels with walls so thin they can absorb single molecules, draw this fluid in. Once inside, it becomes lymph, a clear liquid, rich in white blood cells, proteins, and the remnants of cellular exchange. From these microscopic beginnings, lymph travels through larger and larger vessels, guided not by the beat of the heart, but by the movement of muscles, the rhythm of breathing, and the quiet pressure of surrounding tissues. Along these pathways lie small, bean-shaped structures known as lymph nodes. Each node acts as a natural filter, slowing the flow and allowing immune cells within to inspect and cleanse the passing fluid. Lymph nodes are living sentinels, filled with lymphocytes and macrophages that detect and neutralize bacteria, viruses, and other foreign substances. They are strategically placed throughout the body beneath the jaw, in the neck, under the arms, in the chest, abdomen, and groin, each one quietly protecting its region like a watchtower overlooking a peaceful landscape. When the body faces infection, these nodes often swell slightly, not as a sign of failure but as proof of activity, of guardians gathering to restore balance. The filtered lymph continues its journey through the vessels, moving ever closer to its return. The major highways of this network, the thoracic duct and the right lymphatic duct, carry lymph back into the bloodstream at points near the collarbones. Here, it rejoins the veins, blending seamlessly with the blood that will once again circulate through the heart, lungs, and body. Thus, the lymphatic system completes its circle. The fluid that began among the tissues is purified, restored, and set free to nourish once more. It is a cycle of care that mirrors the larger cycles of nature, rain that becomes rivers, rivers that return to the sea, and the sea that rises again as cloud and falls as rain. Beyond its role in cleansing and balance, the lymphatic system serves as the foundation of the immune response. Within its network lie not only nodes but also specialized organs that nurture and train immune cells. The spleen, situated on the left side of the abdomen, acts as both reservoir and filter. It removes old or damaged red blood cells from circulation and provides a place for lymphocytes to encounter pathogens carried in the blood. The spleen, like a gentle guardian, keeps watch over the bloodstream, maintaining its purity while strengthening the body's defenses. The thymus, positioned behind the sternum, is another key part of this system. In early life, it is large and active, producing T lymphocytes, the immune cells that recognize and remember specific threats. These cells, once trained, travel throughout the lymphatic network, ready to respond when needed. As we grow older, the thymus gradually shrinks, its direct role diminishing, but its influence enduring through the cells it has already shaped. This quiet transformation reflects a theme found throughout the body: growth, adaptation, and eventual reliance on what has been learned. The lymphatic system, in this way, mirrors the process of maturation, learning, cleansing, and letting go. The tonsils, positioned in the throat, and the adenoids, located higher in the nasal passage, form another layer of defense, protecting the entranceways of the body where air and food first make contact. They are often the first to encounter foreign particles, alerting the immune system before deeper tissues are ever affected. Together, these lymphatic organs form a subtle network of awareness, sensing the external world and preparing gentle responses that preserve harmony rather than disrupt it. Yet the lymphatic system is not confined to defense alone. It also plays a central role in nourishment. In the small intestine, specialized lymphatic vessels called lacteals absorb fats from digested food. These fats, too large to enter blood capillaries directly, are carried through the lymphatic system as milky fluid, eventually joining the bloodstream after being processed and refined. In this way, the lymphatic system participates in the continuous exchange between nourishment and purification, ensuring that the body not only receives but also refines what it takes in. The movement of lymph is slow and rhythmic, guided by the contractions of nearby muscles and the pulse of breath. When the body is still for too long, this motion can become sluggish, and the tissues may retain fluid. Gentle movement, walking, stretching, or breathing deeply stimulates lymph flow, awakening this hidden river once more. Even in sleep, subtle movements of the diaphragm and heartbeat continue the process, keeping the inner currents alive. It is a reminder that the body's health is sustained not by force but by rhythm, by the steady interplay between motion and rest. In the context of emotion and well-being, the lymphatic system reflects the principle of release. Just as it removes waste from the tissues, so too does it symbolize the body's ability to let go of what no longer serves. When stress or tension builds, the flow of lymph can slow, mirroring the mind's own constriction. When calm returns through deep breathing, rest, or gentle touch, the system opens again, allowing renewal to resume. The act of cleansing, then, is both physical and symbolic. The body and mind release together, restoring their shared sense of ease. The clarity maintained by the lymphatic system is not absolute. Rather, it is a process of continual renewal. Every moment, new waste is produced, new challenges arise, and the lymphatic system responds with quiet patience. It never stops, never demands attention, and yet its work touches every cell. Without its gentle currents, the body would lose its transparency, its ability to refresh itself. In its silent motion, we can sense an ancient wisdom, the understanding that health is not perfection, but balance maintained through constant care. The lymphatic system's importance often reveals itself most clearly in its absence. When lymph flow is blocked, fluid accumulates, leading to swelling known as lymphedema. This condition reminds us of how essential movement is, both physically and symbolically. Stagnation, whether in the body or in life, brings heaviness. Flow restores lightness and grace. Even small motions, the lift of breath, the turning of a limb encourage the lymph to move, awakening the body's natural cleansing tides. In quiet ways, the lymphatic system also contributes to the feeling of vitality that accompanies wellness. When its flow is clear and unobstructed, the body feels light, balanced, and alive. Energy circulates freely, and the mind mirrors this sense of ease. This harmony between clarity of fluid and clarity of thought reflects the deep unity between body and spirit. Every part of the system, from the tiniest vessel to the largest duct, participates in this orchestration of renewal. To contemplate the lymphatic system is to see the beauty of subtle motion. It does not strive or struggle. It simply moves, guided by the natural rhythm of life. Its rivers do not shout but whisper, cleansing with grace rather than force. Within its endless cycle of collection and return, one can find the same wisdom that governs the tides, the seasons, and the beating of the heart, that to sustain life is to flow, to release, to renew. As you rest and breathe gently, the lymph within you continues its quiet work. It gathers what the body no longer needs, carries it through invisible pathways, and returns the purified essence to the bloodstream. It is a system of infinite patience, embodying the calm intelligence of nature itself. In its movement lies the secret of balance, life's ability to cleanse, restore, and begin again with every passing moment. The lymphatic system, though silent, is the very song of renewal, flowing eternally through the hidden landscapes of the human form. 18. The digestive journey, continued. The chemistry of nourishment. Within the living body, digestion is not merely a process of breaking down what we eat. It is a symphony of transformation, a meeting of chemistry and motion that turns the material of the earth into energy, growth, and warmth. Every bite, once swallowed, embarks upon a long and complex journey, a journey guided by precision, timing, and the silent intelligence of countless cells and enzymes. Though this process occurs without conscious thought, it is one of the most intricate miracles of life, a reminder that the act of nourishment is also an act of renewal. As food enters the stomach, its chemistry begins to change. The gastric juices that fill this muscular chamber are potent, yet carefully controlled. Hydrochloric acid lowers the stomach's pH to an environment strong enough to break apart proteins, while the enzyme pepsin begins to divide them into smaller fragments called peptides. The stomach itself does not digest at random, it churns rhythmically, mixing food and acid into a creamy substance known as chyme. This transformation takes time, allowing the body to process food in a calm and deliberate manner. Even as the acid works, a thick layer of mucus protects the stomach lining, reminding us that nature always balances destruction with preservation. Once the chyme reaches the small intestine, digestion enters a new phase of delicacy and refinement. Here, in the first section called the duodenum, the pancreas and liver send their secretions to assist in the process. The pancreas releases bicarbonate to neutralize the stomach's acid, creating a gentle, alkaline environment in which enzymes can thrive. It also contributes amylase, lipase, and proteases enzymes, specialized in breaking down carbohydrates, fats, and proteins. The liver, through the gallbladder, adds bile, a fluid that emulsifies fats into tiny droplets, allowing enzymes to act more effectively. Each contribution works in harmony with the others, ensuring that every nutrient is freed from its original form and made ready for absorption. As the chyme moves through the winding passage of the small intestine, it encounters millions of tiny, finger-like projections called villi and microvilli. These structures greatly increase the surface area for absorption, allowing nutrients to pass into the bloodstream. Through these minute gateways, glucose from carbohydrates, amino acids from proteins, and fatty acids from lipids enter the body's inner circulation. Vitamins and minerals follow, carried across membranes by transport proteins that recognize and welcome them with astonishing precision. It is here that nourishment becomes truly personal. The elements of food dissolve into the chemistry of the self, transforming into energy, strength, and thought. The bloodstream carries these absorbed nutrients first to the liver, the body's great processor and regulator. The liver receives everything that has passed through the intestines and decides how it will be used. It converts glucose into glycogen for storage, balances fats, detoxifies substances that might cause harm, and stores vitamins and minerals for later release. It also produces plasma proteins and helps regulate the body's cholesterol levels. This constant balancing act is the reason the liver is often described as the body's laboratory, a place where raw materials become refined, and balance is quietly restored after every meal. Meanwhile, The undigested remains continue their path into the large intestine. Here, the body's focus shifts from absorption to reclamation. The large intestine reabsorbs water and electrolytes, compacting what remains into solid form. Within this calm chamber lives a vast and diverse population of microorganisms, collectively known as the gut microbiota. Trillions of bacteria, along with fungi and other microscopic companions, inhabit this space, living in harmony with their human host. They play an essential role in digestion, breaking down fibers that the body cannot digest alone, producing certain vitamins such as vitamin K and B12, and supporting the immune system. This community of microbes is so integral to human health that it is often considered an organ in itself. It influences not only digestion but mood, immunity, and even sleep. The gut and brain communicate through what scientists call the gut-brain axis, a network of nerves, hormones, and chemical signals that allows emotion and digestion to influence one another. When the mind is calm, digestion flows easily. When stress rises, the body tightens, slowing the digestive rhythm. This intimate connection between thought and nourishment reveals a deeper truth that the act of digestion is not purely physical, but also emotional and energetic. The body digests not only food, but experience itself. Once water and nutrients are reclaimed, the waste that remains is gently guided toward elimination. Peristalsis, wave-like contractions of smooth muscle, moves it steadily along the colon until it reaches the rectum, where the body prepares to release it. The act of elimination, though often overlooked, is a vital form of balance. Just as the lymphatic system cleanses fluid and the kidneys purify blood, the digestive system completes its work through release. In this way, the cycle of nourishment comes full circle from intake to transformation, from transformation to renewal. Each stage of digestion is orchestrated by hormones and neural signals that coordinate timing and intensity. The brain and the digestive tract are in constant dialogue, adjusting secretion, motion. When food enters the stomach, the hormone gastrin signals for acid production. As the chyme passes into the duodenum, secretin and cholecystokinin regulate pancreatic and bile secretions. When the stomach empties, the brain receives signals of satisfaction, bringing the meal to a peaceful close. The coordination between mind, glands, and muscle is so precise that it unfolds like a dance, one movement leading seamlessly into another. Beyond its physiological purpose, the digestive system is also symbolic of the human relationship with the world. Through eating, the body participates in the broader cycle of nature. It takes in matter that once belonged to earth, plant, or animal, and transforms it into living energy. This act connects the body not only to nourishment but to the environment itself. Every grain of rice, every drop of water, every breath that accompanies a meal carries the memory of sunlight, soil, and rain. Digestion is, in essence, an exchange between the outer and inner worlds, a moment in which the boundaries between them dissolve and life renews itself through unity. The system's ability to balance and adapt is remarkable. It adjusts to feast and famine, to warmth and cold, to age and activity. It repairs itself after strain and recalibrates after excess. This quiet resilience is a reflection of life's persistence, the body's ability to continue its rhythm no matter what changes around it. When treated gently with nourishment that is wholesome, with rest that allows assimilation, with calm that eases tension, the digestive system responds with harmony. When neglected or burdened, it reminds us through discomfort or fatigue that balance must be restored. To appreciate digestion fully is to see it as more than metabolism. It is transformation made visible, a living example of how change sustains existence. What was once outside the body becomes part of it. What the body no longer needs returns to the earth. Within this constant exchange, energy circulates, neither lost nor wasted, but simply moving from one form to another. Every breath, Every heartbeat and every cell relies on this continuous flow. As you rest, the digestive process continues its patient work. The stomach releases its contents in steady rhythm. The intestines absorb and move, and the liver filters the blood with tireless dedication. This process, so ancient and precise, goes on quietly beneath awareness, a testament to the intelligence that underlies life itself. The digestive system does not hurry, does not pause. It flows with the calm certainty of rivers that know their course. It is the alchemy of nourishment, the bridge between body and world, and the ever-turning wheel of renewal within you. 19. The circulation of energy, metabolism, and renewal. Within the quiet interior of the human body, beyond the rhythm of the heartbeat and the flow of breath, exists a subtler circulation, the movement of energy itself. Every living cell participates in this exchange, drawing in nourishment, transforming it, and releasing what remains. This continuous flow is known as metabolism, the chemistry of life's renewal. It is not one process, but a vast orchestra of countless reactions, each one small and precise, yet together, sustaining the entire body. Through metabolism, food becomes energy, energy becomes motion, and motion becomes the steady warmth of being alive. At its essence, metabolism is the story of transformation. It is how the body takes the material of the earth, grains, fruits, air, and water, and converts it into life itself. Every breath, every movement of muscle, every flicker of thought arises from these transformations. Even in rest, metabolism continues, maintaining the temperature of the body, rebuilding cells, repairing tissues, and keeping the heart and brain in quiet motion. This continuous activity forms the background hum of existence, a flame that burns gently but never goes out until the final moment of life. The foundation of this process begins with the molecules of glucose, fats, and amino acids, the building blocks of nutrition. When you eat, the digestive system releases these molecules into the bloodstream, carrying them to every cell. There, within the tiny powerhouses called mitochondria, the real work begins. Glucose combines with oxygen, drawn in through the lungs, to produce adenosine triphosphate, or ATP, the universal currency of energy. Each molecule of ATP holds a small but potent charge, ready to be released whenever the body needs it. This process, known as cellular respiration, is the quiet fire that fuels life. Yet metabolism is not only about breaking down, it also builds. In every moment, the body is not merely consuming but creating, assembling proteins from amino acids, forming new membranes, repairing DNA, and constructing hormones. This dual nature of metabolism, catabolism, and anabolism reflects the fundamental balance of existence: destruction and creation, consumption and renewal. Catabolic processes release energy by breaking down molecules. Anabolic processes use that energy to build new ones. Together, they form a cycle that mirrors the greater cycles of nature, where decay gives rise to growth, and growth returns again to dissolution in endless continuity. The energy released through metabolism flows into every aspect of being. It powers the contraction of muscles, enabling motion and stability. It fuels the nervous system, allowing the exchange of signals that form thought and sensation. It supports the immune system's defense, the endocrine system's harmony, and the reproductive system's renewal. Even the stillness of sleep is sustained by metabolic energy. As the body repairs itself, synthesizes proteins, and consolidates memory, there is no moment when metabolism rests completely. Even in the deepest calm, its quiet chemistry continues, like the slow burning of an eternal candle. This process of transformation depends on countless enzymes, proteins that act as catalysts, speeding up reactions without being consumed. Each enzyme is exquisitely specialized, recognizing only certain molecules and guiding them toward specific outcomes. Without them, life's chemistry would unfold too slowly to sustain existence. The body produces thousands of such enzymes, each one shaped perfectly for its role, a testament to nature's precision. Their actions are influenced by temperature, pH, and availability of nutrients, showing how deeply metabolism is intertwined with the environment within and around us. Hormones play a guiding role in this internal chemistry. Insulin, produced by the pancreas, signals cells to absorb glucose after a meal, lowering blood sugar and storing energy for later use. Glucagon, its counterpart, releases stored glucose when energy is needed. Thyroid hormones regulate the overall pace of metabolism, determining how quickly the body uses fuel. Adrenal hormones like cortisol adjust energy use during stress, ensuring that the body can respond to challenge without exhausting itself. This constant communication keeps metabolism in balance, a delicate dance of acceleration and rest, of activity and conservation. Even oxygen, the simplest element in the process, has its story. Each breath draws it into the lungs, where it binds to hemoglobin in the red blood cells. Carried through arteries and capillaries, it enters each cell to meet the waiting molecules of glucose. Together, they produce carbon dioxide and water as byproducts, gases that return through veins to the lungs, to be exhaled into the open air once again. This exchange between body and atmosphere is an elegant cycle. What we breathe out becomes the nourishment of plants, and what they release becomes the air we breathe. In this rhythm of exchange, metabolism connects human life to all life, the microcosm of the body to the macrocosm of the earth. The body stores energy in several forms, ready to be drawn upon when needed. Glycogen, a compact form of glucose, is stored in the liver and muscles, providing a rapid source of fuel for immediate demand. Fat, stored in adipose tissue, offers a slower but more enduring energy reserve. When the body's immediate stores are depleted, it turns to these reserves, converting them back into usable energy through processes of oxidation. This ability to shift between fuel sources gives the body resilience, allowing it to adapt to fasting, activity, or rest without interruption. It is a form of quiet wisdom, an instinct for balance built into every cell. The metabolic rate, the measure of how quickly these reactions occur, varies with age, body composition, activity, and even emotion. During childhood and adolescence, metabolism races forward to support growth. In adulthood, it steadies into maintenance. In later years, it slows gently as the pace of renewal softens. Yet this slowing is not a failure but a natural transition, an adaptation to the changing needs of the body. Even in its quietest state, metabolism continues to sustain the spark of life, ensuring that every breath and heartbeat remains smooth and steady. The connection between metabolism and the nervous system forms one of the most delicate relationships in the body. When the mind is calm, the body's metabolism shifts toward restoration, digestion improves, cells repair, and energy is conserved. When stress or anxiety arise, the sympathetic nervous system increases the release of glucose and fatty acids, readying the body for action. These changes are not mistakes but natural responses, part of the rhythm that balances stillness and movement. The key to health lies not in avoiding change but in allowing these rhythms to flow without resistance, letting the body return to equilibrium when the moment of effort has passed. On a cellular level, metabolism is a dialogue between order and entropy, structure and energy. The body must constantly resist the natural drift toward disorder by expending energy to maintain form. This act, preserving structure through motion, is what defines life itself. The same energy that drives a heartbeat also rebuilds skin, forms thought, and heals wounds. Every calorie burned, every molecule exchanged, is part of this immense, unseen work. The result is not simply survival, but the gentle continuity of life's rhythm, a balance so intricate it operates perfectly without our awareness. To understand metabolism is to see that life is sustained not by static strength, but by continuous renewal. The body does not hold energy, it circulates it, transforms it, and releases it. The warmth you feel, the movement of your hands, even the quiet beating of your heart are expressions of this living flow. Just as the earth renews itself through the turning of seasons, the body renews itself through metabolism, unceasing, balanced, and patient. As you rest, this inner chemistry continues, soft and steady. Oxygen moves through your lungs, glucose drifts through your blood, enzymes perform their silent work, and each cell contributes to the great current of transformation. You are, in this very moment, both the receiver and the giver of energy, the earth's matter made alive, the flame of life fed by air and time. In this circulation of energy lies the deepest truth of the body, that existence is not a fixed state, but an ongoing flow, a continuous creation of self from the materials of the universe. Through metabolism, life renews itself endlessly, and the quiet fire within you burns on, gentle and eternal. 20. The body at rest, renewal, through sleep and stillness. As day gives way to night, the body, like the earth itself, enters a cycle of rest. It is a rhythm older than memory, woven into the very fabric of life, a period of stillness that follows activity, a time when the constant motion of waking existence softens into quiet restoration. Within this gentle descent into rest lies one of the body's greatest mysteries. Sleep. Far from being an absence of activity, sleep is a time of deep and deliberate renewal. Every system, every organ, every cell continues its work, but in a slower, more harmonious way, focused not on outward action, but on repair, integration, and balance. Sleep is guided by the brain, yet touches every part of the body. It is governed by circadian rhythms, an internal clock synchronized with the rising and setting of the sunday. This clock, located within the hypothalamus, responds to light and darkness, adjusting the body's chemistry accordingly. As daylight fades, the pineal gland begins to release melatonin, a hormone that gently lowers alertness, slows the pulse, and cools the body's core temperature. The senses begin to soften, the muscles loosen, and the breath deepens. In this transition from wakefulness to sleep, consciousness slowly drifts from the surface world into the deeper waters of the mind. Once sleep begins, the brain passes through a series of stages, cycling between light and deep rest several times each night. In the first stages, the mind remains close to wakefulness. Thoughts flicker and fade, muscles relax, and the heartbeat slows. As the body sinks deeper, it enters slow-wave sleep, a phase characterized by large, rhythmic brain waves known as delta waves. In this state, the body performs some of its most profound restorative work. Growth hormone is released, repairing tissues and strengthening bones. The immune system becomes highly active, identifying and destroying pathogens. The heart and lungs find their calmest rhythm, conserving energy for the coming day. Then, within this stillness, the mind awakens in a different way. Rapid eye movement, sleep REM, arrives like a tide of inner activity. The eyes dart beneath closed lids, the pulse quickens, and the brain lights up with vivid imagery and emotion. This is the realm of dreams, where the mind reorganizes the events of the day, processing memory, emotion, and imagination into patterns of meaning. In REM sleep, the brain sorts and integrates, ensuring that experiences are not just stored, but understood. What seems chaotic or fragmented in waking life often finds quiet resolution here, as the subconscious weaves its soft narratives beneath awareness. These two phases, deep sleep and REM, alternate throughout the night in cycles lasting roughly 90 minutes. Each cycle has its own purpose, and together they form a complete process of renewal. The first half of the night is devoted mostly to physical repair. The second half focuses more on mental and emotional restoration. When sleep flows naturally, uninterrupted by tension or distraction, the body awakens refreshed, the mind clear, and the spirit quietly restored. The necessity of sleep is absolute. It cannot be postponed indefinitely or replaced. Prolonged wakefulness dulls perception, weakens memory, and strains the heart and immune system. The mind begins to blur the boundary between thought and dream, as if urging the body to return to balance. This gentle insistence shows that sleep is not a luxury, it is a fundamental function of life, as essential as breath itself. Through sleep, the body renews what waking depletes. Through rest, it finds again the symmetry of rhythm that sustains all living things. Beneath the science of sleep lies a deeper harmony, one that resonates with nature's patterns. The tides, the turning of the earth, the waxing and waning of the moon, all follow cycles of activity and rest. So too does the human body. The same intelligence that moves the stars moves within us, guiding the alternation between waking and sleep. When we align ourselves with this rhythm, rising with light, resting with darkness, the body thrives. When we resist it, fatigue and imbalance follow. In this way, sleep teaches the quiet wisdom of surrender, that renewal requires stillness, and that restoration cannot be forced, but only allowed. Within the body, sleep brings balance to every system. The nervous system, which governs alertness and reaction, finds its calm. Neurons that fired intensely through the day take time to replenish their chemical stores. Synapses, the connections between brain cells, are pruned and refined, strengthening the most important pathways, while releasing those that are no longer needed. This process, known as synaptic homeostasis, prevents the mind from becoming overwhelmed with unnecessary information. It is a nightly cleansing of thought, ensuring clarity and focus in the waking hours that follow. The endocrine system, too, renews itself in rest. Cortisol, the stress hormone, gradually declines as night deepens, while melatonin and growth hormone rise. This hormonal shift signals the body to repair tissues, build muscle, and regulate metabolism. The cardiovascular system benefits as blood pressure and heart rate decrease, giving the heart a chance to rest from the steady labor of the day. Even digestion adjusts, slowing its pace to allow energy to flow toward healing and regeneration. In this symphony of stillness, each system contributes to the same purpose, the restoration of balance. Dreaming, the most mysterious aspect of sleep, serves not only emotional healing but creative insight. The dreaming mind moves freely, unbound by logic or limitation, exploring connections and symbols that the waking mind cannot. Artists, scientists, and thinkers throughout history have drawn inspiration from dreams, recognizing in them the deep intelligence of the subconscious. Whether remembered or forgotten, dreams work silently to integrate the fragments of experience into coherence, to reconcile conflict, and to soften pain. They are the mind's way of listening to itself, of finding truth through imagination. As dawn approaches, the cycles of sleep lighten once more. The first light of morning filters through the eyelids, and the pineal gland begins to quiet its release of melatonin. The body warms, the heart quickens, and the brain shifts gently from dreaming to awareness. This awakening is not abrupt but gradual, a rising tide of consciousness that mirrors the sunrise itself. The body, having restored its strength, now stands ready to re-enter the rhythm of the world, carrying within it the quiet energy of renewal. Even in wakefulness, moments of rest remain essential. The body and mind both benefit from pauses, from moments of silence within activity. Just as the heart rests between beats, so too does the mind require spaces between thoughts. Deep breathing, meditation, and still reflection serve as waking forms of rest, allowing the nervous system to recalibrate and the endocrine system to balance. These small intervals of quiet mirror the larger rest of sleep, extending its benefits into the brightness of day. To understand rest is to understand balance itself. Activity without pause leads to exhaustion. Rest without purpose leads to stagnation. The harmony of life lies between these states, in the rhythm that alternates motion and stillness, engagement and release. Sleep embodies this rhythm perfectly, reminding the body that renewal is not achieved through striving but through surrender. As you lie still and breathe, the wisdom of the body continues its quiet work. The heart beats softly, the lungs expand and contract. The mind drifts between awareness and dream. In this state, you are both entirely at rest and fully alive. Every cell within you is participating in the great act of restoration, drawing from the calm of night to prepare for the day to come. In the stillness of sleep, the body returns to its most natural state, balanced, calm, and whole. It is in this silence that life renews itself most deeply, that the systems of the body find their harmony once more. The body at rest is not idle. It is alive in its gentlest form, listening to its own rhythm, attuned to the quiet music of existence. Through sleep and stillness, the body remembers its nature, its balance, its peace. It is here, in the calm between days, that the miracle of renewal continues softly, endlessly, and without sound.